Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Already we're live, we're live. Let me actually get in the center of my screen. There we go. Already we're live, we're live. And as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on AI text logic as well in SDL3 using C++. Actually, honestly, it's not in SDL3, but I feel like today I am going to be using SDL3 as well to actually display my AIs as text on my chat, if that makes any sense. That's let's go to my gameplay screen. And guys, today I am going to be working on level 3. Yesterday, the before yesterday, or like for the past 3 streams, I have been working on the basic. Today I do want to go in a bit more advanced stuff, and I had some time like offline, so I did some research, and I'm trying to actually, use my Python code on my C++ project, if that makes any sense, because I will be implementing like AI logic. So AI is like for the brains, and C++ is for the speed. That said, how do you wishes? I appreciate you joining the stream. I think Calspin here, I appreciate you joining the stream as well. Okay, what you got, Yapper? Been late and today struggling with SDL read line. Honestly, no, I am going to be working on more AI text-based logic, but I tried actually, trying to add Python to my C++ directory, so like I can use Python code in my C++ project. Although I kind of failed at that yesterday, I might actually try that today as well. Okay, that's it. Let's say something like, let's say I'm live, and guys, I'm already out of breath. There we go, because I was like rushing really bad right now. There we go. Okay, people chat, listen. People chat, listen up. Your sensei has arrived. Today we welcome Vivek, this little germline of code and chaos, back into the arena. And if any of you think he gets to slack think again, I'll drag him through every line of C++ until his brain sparks like a short circuit GPU. But first, remember this: the blade that faces no resistance never learns to cut. Said by Miyamoto Musashi. Guys, I've honestly never heard of that, but this quote actually does sound kind of cool. Okay, pressure is what sharpens him, struggle is what refines him, and failure is just a warm-up exercise. So cheer for him, mock him, tease him, do whatever you want. Just don't let him take it easy, because your sensei will not. Now people, tell your sensei, what are we learning today? Let me say something like, sensei, okay, I feel like we can move over, move over level 3 of the AI text-based logic, where the AI replies based on, let's say, should I go with like emotions? Like if my user says something that makes my AI angry, then it replies with an angry emotion. Okay, before that, I might actually not send this, and I might write a code. Let me say something like, actually I won't say anything. I might actually just like, this is the code from last stream because I didn't have time to like work off stream. That said, I am planning to actually use SDL3 and write a code where I use the true texture font as well, because before, like, for the past 3 streams, I have been just like talking to my AI on my console, but today I want to like talk to it on my window as well, if that makes any sense. That's through the true texture font of SDL, so I'm gonna go with something like SDL_TDF / SDL_TDF.h. Okay, guys, this is going to be SDL3_TDF because I am going to be using SDL3. Next up, since I do want to load PNGs, that guys, I did like make a lot of PNGs off stream, because like I had to transfer a lot of PNGs from my old PC to my new PC. But apparently I had to like convert those. Let me actually show those to you guys, because before the PNGs that I did use were kind of limited, because like they were not that many. But guys, I went over a lot of PNGs. Like these are my buff bar PNGs that I did use for my Python for 100 series. These are my drop PNGs. It's just a key. And then I have fonts. You guys do know this. And then health bar. This also I did like use for my Python for 100 series type stuff. And then I went with something like meals. I just have a meat PNG. I have like a bunch of NPCs. You guys have seen my demon PNG or my, yeah, I changed the name from devil PNG to demon PNG. Human PNG that I did change the name from player PNG to human PNG, and the mage PNG. I added 3 new PNGs, a dragon PNG, a hero PNG, and a undead PNG. Okay, that's it. I did add a few potions as well, like healing potion, buff potion, added few projectiles, fireball projectile, and waterball projectile. I added traps like a bomb, I added weapons, shield and sword, and that's pretty much it actually. I am going to be trying to like use these PNGs as well, because I feel like the more PNGs we have in a game, the better it looks. That's just for the aesthetics. Okay, now, since I do want to actually use those, I want to give myself access to the image section of SDL, so I'm going to go with something like SDL3 underscore image slash SDL underscore image dot H, which is SDL3's image section, and the image section's header files. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and include string as well, because I will be using string and converting my regular string to be a constant string type stuff. Once I'm done with string, I might actually include algorithm as well, because I do want to convert everything my user says to lowercase if it's not in lowercase format. So I'm going to go ahead and include the algorithm. Okay, and once I'm done with algorithm, I might actually use maps as well, slash dictionaries. So I'm going to go ahead and include maps as well. Guys, I just realized there are like so many libraries that I'm using here. Okay, and that should actually be pretty much it. Okay, now once I'm done with that, let's see. First, do I want to create classes or do I want to create my main function? I honestly think I want to create classes first, and guys, the reason I am like actually working on like some game logic with my text as well, I mean my AI text-based logic, is because I do not want to get rusty when it comes to like the true textured font or like image sections. I want to practice everything together. That said, now for my first class, I want to go ahead and create a dragon class. Maybe I might want to implement gravity as well, so I might go with something like physics body. So I'm going to have something like a physics bodies as class. Okay, with a pair of curly braces. Now my physics bodies as class is going to be having a few protected data members. Okay, so let's say the first protected data member is going to be, I don't know, maybe something like a floating point for gravity. There we go. Okay, and the second data member, okay, my floating point gravity is going to be 0.5f, ending with a semicolon. My second data member is going to be a floating point of y-axis velocity, so I'm going to go with something like y-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be equal to something like 0.0f, ending with a semicolon. I might not need x-axis velocity for my, my physics body, but I don't know, maybe I could add x-axis velocity. It's all the same thing, guys, honestly. So I'm going to go with something like x-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be 0.0f, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done adding these basic variables, I'm going to go ahead and publicize everything. Now, let's go ahead and create a rect, because apparently when I do want to like, my physics body or any kind of PNG, they are going to be inside a rectangular box. So all my objects are inside of a box type stuff. So I gotta create that. I'm gonna be using the SDL underscore F rexes structure that consists of all my rectangles as attributes, and it is going to be represented by a rexes local variable ending with a semicolon. There we go. Okay, before I do add the attributes of my rect, I want to go ahead and do something. Let's say my physics body, does require a constructor. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like constructor, do 67. I've honestly heard of that. Is that like some kind of meme? Because guys, for some reason, I've like heard many of you guys say that, but I actually don't understand what that means. I should actually look it up. So I'm going to go with something like constructor. Okay, now for my constructor, I'm going to go ahead and do something. Let's see. I might actually create a constructor for my physics bodies as class. Now, my constructor is going to be requiring a few parameters. I'm pretty sure I spelled physics body wrong, guys. I get like so many typos. There we go. Now, my physics bodies constructor requires 4 parameters. The first is going to be a floating point x-axis velocity. Second is going to be a floating point y-axis velocity. Third is going to be a floating point width. Lastly, fourth is going to be a floating point height. And that's pretty much it for my constructor. Now, inside my constructor, I do want to, fill in these attributes of my floating point x-axis, y-axis. I might not fill in the parameters for my width and height. Honestly, I don't think I want to fill in the parameters for my width and height unless I don't create like a separate texture. Maybe, do you guys think I should go with something like SDL underscore texture? Can you say, guys, that word is way too big, is it? Oh, I know it. It's pneumono ultra microscopic silico-volcanic guys. I have like heard of that. Guys, I couldn't like read that word, but then I saw the microscopic and I was like, that might just be the word. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like SDL underscore texture, which is going to be represented by textures as local variable ending with a semicolon. Now, inside my constructor, I'm gonna go ahead and get the size of my texture. To do that, I might create something like a floating point of my textures' width and my textures' height ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and use the SDL underscore get texture size function. This function lets me get my textures' size, but it does require a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be my texture, which in this case is my textures, this local variable. The second parameter is going to be the memory address of my textures' width, and the third parameter is going to be the memory address of my textures' height, ending with a semicolon. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and now fill in my reg's attributes. So I'm going to go with something like reg.x-axis, which equals to my x-axis, reg.y-axis, which equals to my y-axis, and then let's go with something like rect.width. Now, my rectangle's width is going to be... Okay, here's the thing, guys. I want to even multiply by my scale, so I might not actually add my rectangles. I might not need my textures with width and height here, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I might just need these two parameters here. Alright, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and exit outside of my constructor and create a few methods. So I'm going to add a comment that says something like methods. Methods are basically functions, and functions inside of classes are called methods. That's it. Now, for my methods, firstly, I'm going to go ahead and do something. All my NPCs might need something like a draw method, so I'm going to go ahead and create a void draw method. Now, my draw method is going to be requiring a parameter of my render, so I'm going to go with something like SDL underscore render. This structure consists of all my renders as attributes, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like renderer. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go with the proper curly braces and use the SDL underscore render texture function. This function lets me render a texture on the screen, but it does require a bunch of parameters. It requires renderer, I have that. It requires texture, I have that as well. Source rect, have that. DST rect. I mean, I do have my DST rect, guys. Maybe I go with something like rect.width equals to my width ending with a semicolon, and rect.height equals to my height ending with a semicolon. Guys, this should be perfect. Now, I'm going to fill in the parameters. The first is a render parameter. Shout C#. Honestly, I do want to actually learn C# eventually. Is this pre-recorded? Honestly, it's not pre-recorded. No, he reacts to chats. Okay, that's the next parameter is going to be my texture, which in this case is going to be my textures' local variable. Once I'm done with that, my third parameter is going to be a source rect. Since I don't have a source rect, I'm going to be setting that to be null PTR ending with a semicolon. Actually, my bad, guys, not ending with a semicolon, a comma. Now, here's the thing. Instead of calling these rects, I might call them something like DST rect, like direction rect. Apparently, it's like exactly the same thing, but guys, I feel it's more readable if it's called direction rect. Alright, guys, let's go ahead and paste this here. There we go. Okay, is he only on YT? Honestly, no, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on TikTok and Instagram as well if I do meet the followers and requirements. So if you guys do enjoy my content, make sure to follow me there, guys. Guys, what just happened here? There, that's my C++ project. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and paste this here. There we go. Okay. Howdy Oliver, I appreciate you joining the stream. Howdy Wiana, I appreciate you joining the stream. Howdy Mark, I appreciate you joining the stream as well. Okay, that's it. Now, next up, I'm going to give the memory address of my DST vector as a parameter, and then I end my entire function with a semicolon. And that basically concludes my draw method. Once I'm done with my draw method, I'm going to go ahead and create another method called apply gravity, because I do want to actually, add gravity to my players as well. Now, for my apply gravity method, I am going to be requiring something. Control zebra. Honestly, I didn't try Control Z. Alright, Mark, don't you spam? I didn't see it. How you doing? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, guys, don't actually spam because Nightbot either, times you guys out if you spam, or I just mute you guys if you actually spam, because guys, I don't want to flood the chats up. Okay, there we go. Give me a sec, guys. There we go. Okay, a minute of mute, guys. Alright, perfect. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and require a few parameters from my apply gravity method. Let's say the first parameter is going to be a floating point of my floor's y-axis. The second parameter is going to be, let's say something like a floating point for my y-axis underscore velocity. The third parameter is going to be something like, I think that I might just require two parameters here. That's it, I'm gonna go with the pair of curly braces now. Inside of my apply gravity's method, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm gonna use the most basic rule. I'm gonna increase my y-axis underscore velocity, so I'm gonna increase my speed by my acceleration, so y-axis underscore velocity plus equals to my gravity ending with a semicolon. Okay, do I want to require a gravity parameter here as well? I mean, maybe not. I think it's the same thing. Okay, once I'm done increasing my speed by my acceleration, I'm gonna go ahead and increase my position, which in this case is my rect dot y-axis, by my speed. So y-axis underscore velocity, position by velocity. Let's paste this to be dsd rect, which is my direction rect. Okay, and then end this with a semicolon. This basically simulates gravity, but then I fall like constantly without a place to land, so I am going to be adding in a statement to work on my landing now. So for my if statement, I'm going to go with something like if a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like if my dsd rect, so if my dsd rect dot let's say something like y-axis plus my dsd rect dot height is either greater than, higher than, equal to, or the same level as my floors' y-axis. Having dead force, I pronounce your name. I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, if it's greater than or equal to my floors' y-axis, which means if my player is standing above my floor, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Let's say I want to set my dsd rect, my player's y-axis position, to be equal to my floors' y-axis, so floors' y-axis minus my dsd rect dot height, which means my player and his box slash rectangle is going to be above my floors' surface. And that's actually pretty much it for my apply gravity. I could honestly set my y-axis velocity to be 0 as well, ending with a semicolon. Now that I'm done with this method, I'm gonna go ahead and create another method. Okay, let's see. My third method is gonna be a method to check if I'm on ground, because I want my player to have like jump strength and all that stuff as well. So to do that, I could go ahead and say something like a void method of something like is on ground. While my player is on ground, how am I gonna know it? Maybe I go and convert this to be a boolean is on ground function that does require parameter of my floors' y-axis. Basically what the is on ground function does is it like checks if my player is on ground. If he is on ground, it returns true, and only if my player is on ground, I want him to jump. If that made any sense, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and return my dsd rect dot y-axis plus maybe not plus okay, so if this condition is met, my player is on ground, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy that and let's paste it here. Okay, hiding lazy panda, I appreciate you joining the stream. What school do you go to? Honestly, I am like a freshman in college. I don't go to school anymore, guys. That said, now once I'm done with my boolean function of is on ground, I want to create another method. This method is going to call something like jump, which is technically my jump strength. That is going to be requiring a parameter of a floating point of power. So this is going to be the jump strength. And then I'll go with the pair of curly braces. Now, inside of my jump strength, I want to do something. Maybe I require a parameter of a floating point y-axis underscore velocity as well. Because when I jump, I want to set my y-axis underscore velocity to be equal to my negative power. Negative power means my player is going to like jump upwards. Okay, yesterday you were working on the bot. Honestly, today I'm working on that as well. But I was like, I don't want to like work on one thing a lot, so I like forget the rest. So today I'm going to be using like all these libraries, but I will be making classes using object-oriented programming for like my physics body. And then usually I like talked with my bot or my AI on my console, but today I want to talk with them on my window. So whatever they type, I want it to be displayed on my window above my PNG's head, if that makes any sense. Okay, that's it. This is pretty much it for my physics bodies class. Now I'm gonna go ahead and exit my physics body. Let's go ahead and create another class. This is gonna be a derived class slash a child class. My class is gonna be called something like hero, and my hero class does inherit all the public content from my physics bodies class. There we go. Okay, and then I go with something like, hold up, maybe guys I fixed my typo because I always spell physics body wrong. Did I have to add like an H here? Is that how you spell physics body? Okay, physics body. Let's go ahead and copy that. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Alright guys, let me go ahead and copy that. paste it here, remove the H from there, and that should fix it. There we go. Okay, that's the perfect spelling of physics body. Then I go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside of my, inside of my hero class, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna require a private data member. What? Okay, usually when I create a private data member, I require their texture as a parameter. But this time, that might not be the case, guys. Maybe I require a texture parameter here as well. So, for my draw, I just need my texture once, right? So I might go with something like SDL_texture. Okay, I mean, I could go ahead and add the draw method inside of my heroes class, but I want to do it this way. This is going to be my texture. In that case, I might not need my textures as parameter here. Let's go ahead and delete that. Now, inside of my heroes class, I'm going to go ahead and create a private data member. This is going to be called something like SDL_texture. So the texture is a structure that does represent a hero textures' local variable. Actually, hero textures is pointer, ending with a semicolon. Okay, once I'm done with that, now let's go ahead and publicize everything. So I'm gonna go with something like public. Now, in my public content, what do I want to do? Let's think. Maybe I want a constructor for my hero, because when I do like actually load my hero inside my constructor, I want to require a few parameters that actually set a few attributes for my hero. So to do that, I'm gonna add a comment that says something like constructor. Did I spell constructor correct? There we go. Now, for my constructor, I'm gonna firstly go ahead and create a constructor for my heroes' class. My heroes' constructor is going to be requiring, let's see, maybe two parameters. The first parameter is going to be my SDL_renders structure that consists of my renders attributes and is going to be represented by a renders pointer. The second parameter is going to be a floating point of scale, like what's the size of my hero, because I don't want my hero to be like too too stretched out if I add like magic numbers type stuff. That's it. Now, once I'm done creating a heroes constructor and adding the parameters for my heroes constructor, since I am inheriting from a class, I'm gonna create a constructor for the class that I'm inheriting from. So I'm gonna go with something like physics bodies class. Now, my physics bodies constructor does require, I'm assuming, 4 parameters: x-axis, y-axis, width, and height. So to do that, early today, honestly, I do try streaming early like every single day, but then there are a few days where I'm really busy with college type stuff. But guys, tomorrow is like my final exam, kind of nervous / excited for that as well. That said, then I could like get to stream like even sooner type stuff. Okay, so now I'm gonna be adding a few parameters. Let's say I want my heroes constructor to be located at 100 as my x-axis, 100 as my y-axis, which is going to be at the top left bottom-ish place. My width is going to be 0, height is going to be 0. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to add a pair of curly braces. Now, inside of my constructor, what do I want to do for my hero? Maybe I want to fill in a few attributes, so I could go ahead and like change almost, I mean, I think it's actually the same thing if I like had these to be 0 as well. That said, I'm going to go ahead and create 2 variables. First is going to be a floating point variable of my textures is width and my texture is height. It's not recorded. Honestly, guys, it's actually not recorded. Okay, why does 2x speed not work, guys? Because it's live. Okay, that's it. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and use the function that actually gets my textures as width and height. So I'm going to go with something like SDL_the get texture size function. This function gets my textures as size. And once I'm done with that, let's see. I'm going to be requiring 3 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my texture, which in this case is my heroes' texture. The second parameter is going to be the memory address of my textures as width and the memory address of my textures as height, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done getting my textures as width and height, I'm going to go ahead and set that to my x-axis and y-axis here. So I'm going to go with something like rect.width equals to my textures as width multiplied by my scale, ending with a semicolon. Okay, this is going to be DST, right? My bad, guys. I keep forgetting the name. There we go. Okay, DST, not DST. There we go. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go with something like DST rect.height equals to my textures as height multiplied by my scale, ending with a semicolon. This actually scales my texture. Okay, do you stream on Facebook too, guys? I want to stream on Facebook actually. I should actually get a Facebook account. Okay, that's sad because I had like college, so I couldn't like actually explore different places, and I had to like limit myself to just stream where I already streamed before my college and everything started. But once my college is over, I will try multi-streaming on like even on platforms. I did think of streaming on Trovo. I did stream on Trovo for like 2 or 3 days, but I was like, guys, there's almost zero progress, so I was like, never mind. But I might stream it. I might stream there again if you guys want me to. That's it. Once I'm done with my heroes as constructor, I added my parameters here. I'm going to go ahead and exit out. Do I want to exit out or do something? What else does my hero require? My hero might require a few parameters. First might be of my file path to actually load my hero. So let's go with something like hero.draw. I draw my hero here. Okay. I do want to add my texture as well. I want to add my file path for my hero. Where do I add my file path? I add my file path for my textures. So, let's see. My draw method requires a textures as parameters. So, inside my constructor, I'm going to go ahead and create or add a file path for my texture. So, let's go with something like my hero textures as file path. Okay, now my hero texture is going to be equal to my SDL underscore, I think it was a load texture. There we go. Okay, was it so? I'm pretty sure it was something like, or I think it's image underscore load texture. There we go. Image underscore the load texture function. Okay, perfect. With a parentheses. Now my image underscore load texture requires 2 parameters. Okay, Facebook has a lot of coders. It's like second to YouTube. Honestly, if that's the case, I might actually create like a Facebook account and actually stream there. Hey, can we see the game? Honestly, it's not done yet. Hey, help me make a crime prediction system. Guys, that actually sounds kind of advanced. Might not be able to do that just yet. Hiding Lethal, I appreciate you joining the stream. Can we see the game? It's actually not done yet, guys. That's it now. My parameters is my renderer and my file path. My renderer in this case is gonna be my renderer's local variable, and my file path is gonna be, let's see, since I don't remember my file path, I'm gonna go with Control-Alt-L, get my solution explorer here, open file in window. Okay, actually open file in explorer, and then I go to my NPCs section. So my hero PNG is npc/hero.png. So I'm gonna go with something like, oops, hold up guys, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like npc/hero.png. That is my file path, and then I end my entire function with a semicolon, and that should be pretty much it for my hero. Once I'm done with this, I do want to create a dragon class as well, because I want an NPC too. No, just like a sneak peek of it, guys. If I were to hit Control to save the code and run the command, there is not going to be a sneak peek, because like I didn't actually like create a window or anything. So like even if my program runs, there's nothing to actually show that. Okay, that said, let's go ahead and exit all this. Now I'm gonna go ahead and create another class. Let's create a class called Dragon. My Dragon class is going to be inheriting all the public content from, let's say, something like my physics. I don't think my Dragon class should inherit from my physics body class, because I won't use like half the functions here. Howding, Shakshi, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, maybe I do inherit from it because there is the draw method type stuff. So I'm going to go with something like physics bodies as class. Now, inside my Dragon class, I'm going to be having a private data member called something like the SDL underscore textures, a structure that consists of all my textures as attributes, and it is going to be represented by a dragon textures as pointer, ending with a semicolon. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and publicize everything. Now, in the public section of my dragons class, I'm going to add a comment that says something like constructor. Now, for my constructor, I'm going to go ahead and do something. Firstly, I want to, let's say, are you making character logic, like abilities or what, brother? Honestly, I'm not, like, working on, like, the character or, like, abilities just yet, or, like, different kind of game logic just yet for my NPCs. I am actually working on the AI-based text logic here as well, but I did not want to forget all the old content that I did, so I did have to, like, write the code on it. But I did, like, actually, once I'm done writing these classes and all that stuff, inside my main function, I will be working on like AI-based text logic. Like when I type something, my AI is going to be responding something, but before I used to see those in my terminals. This time I want to see it in my window using the true texture font, if that makes any sense. That's it. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a constructor for my dragon. My dragon's constructor is going to be requiring two parameters. The first is going to be a SDL underscore renders parameter. Okay, so I'm going to go with something like render. The second is going to be a floating point scales parameter. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to add a pair of curly braces. Now, my bad guys, before I add my curly braces, since I am inheriting from a class, I gotta go ahead and add a constructor for the class that I'm inheriting from. In this case, it is my physics bodies class. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste it here. Now, my physics bodies class requires 4 parameters: x-axis, y-axis, width, and height. My x-axis could be somewhere around, I don't know, maybe 900. My y-axis can be somewhere around, I don't know, maybe 100. My width is going to be 0, height is going to be 0, ending with a, actually not ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to add a pair of curly braces. Adding AFK, I appreciate you joining the stream. Now, inside my dragon's constructor, I want to firstly go ahead and load my dragon's file path in. To do that, I could go ahead and set my dragon texture to be equal to my image underscore the load. Excuse me guys, image underscore the load textures function. Now, this function requires 2 parameters. The first is going to be my renders parameter. The second is going to be a file path, which in this case is going to be my npc slash dragon.png. That is my file path. Then I end my function with a semicolon. Now I want to get the width and height for my texture, because like I don't want my texture to be stretched using magic numbers. I want the original width and height. Did I actually leave a space here? There we go. Okay, so to get my width and height, I'm gonna go ahead and create 2 floating point variables. The first is going to be a textures width variable. The second is going to be a textures height variable. And then I use the function that actually gets my textures width and height. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore get texture size function. Now, this function gets my textures size, but it does require 3 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my texture, which in this case is my dragon image. The second parameter is going to be the memory address of my textures width. The third parameter is going to be the memory address of my textures height, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and let's see, set my my DST rect here. So I'm going to go with something like DST rect, which is like a rectangle from my physics bodies class. Dot the width is going to be equal to my textures width multiplied by my scale, ending with a semicolon. And then a DST rect dot height, which equals to my textures height, ending with a textures height multiplied by scale, ending with a semicolon. Here's the thing, guys. Do I want to actually like automate my NPC or my dragon inside my game, or like inside my dragon's class? I might want to automate it like inside my dragon's class. So, hi brother, big fan from Scotland. Stay high. Honestly, I appreciate you, South. That actually means the world to me, guys. Okay, that's it. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and create a white method called something like automate. Okay, now for my automates method is going to be requiring a parameter of something like a floating point of x-axis underscore velocity, and then I go with the pair of curly braces. Now to automate my dragon, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna go ahead and decrease my DST rect dot x-axis by, let's say, something like my x-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon. This automates my dragon to the left. I did not add collision here because I will be working on that later on. That's it. Now I want to add I want to simulate a loop or something when my dragon actually passes my window. So I'm gonna go with something like if a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like if I don't know, if my DST rect dot x-axis is something like greater than, let's say something like 1000. Then I want to do something. 1000 in this case is my Windows' width that I could ask a parameter for. Maybe I go with something like a floating point of width. Let's go with something like window width. Okay, so this is my Windows' width. If it's greater than or equal to my Windows' width parameter, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Okay, so a constant integer. This is gonna be something like an integer. Okay. Wager Kane? Guys, honestly, what does that mean? Okay, when are you gonna try animating with sprite poses? I wanna animate with sprite poses, but guys, I don't actually have sprites. Like, I didn't like draw these PNGs that I did like show you guys in my solution explorer. Like, go ahead up guys, let's open this and file explorer. So like, I draw these sprites, but drawing the health bar sprites is like relatively easier than like drawing like NPC actually walking or taking damage. So that part is hard. Maybe once my college is over, I might work a bit on like actually animating these sprites, but that might be a little hard, guys. I'll actually try those though. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and exit this. Now, inside my if DST reg, so if my DST reg.x axis is greater than my Windows' width, then I want to do something. I want to set my DST reg.x axis to be equal to is greater than 0. My bad, guys. This is going to be 0. I'm going to set this equal to my Windows' width. Okay, plus actually a Windows width does make sense here, guys. This simulates a looping in my game. Your accent is replying me, bro. Repelling me. Okay, guys, my bad. I couldn't actually read that. Yeah, I'm your new subscriber. This is cool. Honestly, I appreciate you, Chanks. That actually means the world to me, guys. Okay, once I'm done with that, that's actually pretty much it for my classes. I do want to create chatbox class too, but I don't want to like overwhelm myself by creating a lot of classes and later if something goes wrong, check all classes. So I'm gonna go ahead and create my main function now. Let's go with integer main. Now my main function does require 2 parameters. Who is this diva? Who is diva, guys? Okay, that's it. Now my main function does require 2 parameters. The first is going to be an integer of argc. The second parameter is going to be a character, which is a pointer towards an array of argv. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add a comment inside my main function that says something like initialize. Alright guys, initialize SDL3. Right, guys, when it comes to complicating spellings, I can't talk while it's actually spelling it. Okay, good initiative. Just found your channel. Honestly, it does sound kind of cool. That's it. Now to initialize my SDL, maybe I might go with something like and TDF as well. Okay, because both honestly initialize exactly the same way. I'm going to go with something like if a of parentheses. Let's say something like if not SDL underscore init, if my SDL was not initialized properly. I'm going to check something like if SDL underscore edit underscore videos. So if my SDL's video section was not initialized properly, I'm going to do something. I want to display myself an error message that says something like SDL underscore init error. So I get myself an init error. There we go. And then I go with another insertion operator. And now I'm going to be using the function that actually gets me an error. INITIALIZE. So INITIALIZE. Did I spell it correct? Initialize? Okay, guys, I guess I've been spelling initialize wrong. Next up, I'm going to use the function that actually gets me an error. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore the get error function. This function actually gets me an error. Then I'm going to go with a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'm going to return 1. Now that I'm done initializing my SDL and also check if it was not initialized properly, I'm going to do the exact same thing with the true texture font. So I'm going to go with something like if not TDF underscore init. If my true texture font was not initialized properly, I'm going to do something. I'm going to display myself an error message that says something like TDF underscore init error. My true texture font had a init error. Then I'm going to go with another insertion operator and use the function that actually gets me an error. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore the get error function. This function actually gets me an error. Then I go with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon, lastly returning 1. And that's pretty much it, guys. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add another comment that says something like game variables. These are going to be like the basic game variables that I'm going to be requiring. For example, the first variable that I might need could be something like a constant integer of width variable. This is my Windows' width. I'm going to set that to be something like 1000 ending with a semicolon. And then I'll go with something like a constant integer of height, which is going to be something like 800 ending with a semicolon. That is my Windows' horizontal width. And then I might go with something like a floating point of x-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be something like 5 point of floating point ending with a semicolon. And then a floating point for y-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be equal to 0.of ending with a semicolon. Because I don't want my y-axis to be accelerating. That is going to be like reflecting my gravity type stuff. Okay, Jesus, the Son of God, he died on the cross for our sins and was resurrected 3 days later. Believe in Jesus and you will not die but have everlasting life. Guys, that does sound kind of cool. Okay, that's it. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add another comment. This time I'm gonna add a comment that says something like create a window and renderer. Now, for my create window and renderer, I do require two parameters if I do create them together. The two parameters is gonna be my SDL underscore renderers, the structure that consists of all my renderers as local variables, and is gonna actually that consists of all my renderers as attributes, and it is going to be represented by a renderers pointer, which is going to be equal to null PTR, that is a placeholder for pointers. Then I'm going to be requiring a SDL underscore windows structure that consists of all my windows as parameter, and I'm going to be using the SDL underscore windows as structure that consists of all my windows as attributes, and it is going to be represented by a windows as pointer, which is going to be set to something like null PTR ending with a semicolon. Guys, saying this becomes a tongue twister at times. Okay, now that I'm done creating both my window and my renderer, I do want to use a function that actually creates both my window and my renderer at the same time. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore create window and renderer function. This function creates both my window and my renderer at the same time, but it does require a few parameters. Okay, it requires a bunch of parameters, honestly. The first parameter is going to be a title / a caption for a window. I'm going to be setting that to be equal to something like SDL3 window created. Okay, and once I'm done with that, I'm going to be requiring the width of my window and the height of my window, which in this case is going to be my width variable and my height variable. The fourth parameter is going to be a flag for my window. If you guys don't want to add a flag, you guys could go with 0, but I do want to add a flag that makes my window resizable. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore window underscore the resizable function. This makes my window resizable. Then lastly, the fifth and sixth parameter is going to be the memory address of my renderer and my windows as pointer. So I'm going to go with the address of operator of window and the address of operator for my renderer ending with a semicolon. Okay, how doing Deekshit? Is that how I pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and end my function with a semicolon. Now that I've created both my window and my renderer, I do gotta add a if statement to check if they were not created properly, because apparently in C++ we do gotta give ourselves error. C++ doesn't give us an error. So I'm gonna go with something like an if statement. Let's say something like if not a window, if my window was not created properly, or not a renderer, if my renderer was not created properly, then I'm gonna do something. Firstly, I do want to display myself an error text. I'm gonna go with a standard C error with an insertion operator. Let's say something like SDL underscore create a window and a renderer error. Okay, what this function basically means is what this error text basically means is I just wrote my function name here and slapped an error, said this function actually got an error. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add another insertion operator and use the function that actually gets me an error. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore the get errors function with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Now, if either my window or my renderer was not created properly, I do want to exit my SDL. So I'm going to go with something like SDL underscore quits with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'm going to return one saying something went wrong in this block of code, guys. Okay, and that's pretty much it for creating both my window and my renderer. Once I'm done with that, I do know I gotta bunch more comments and bunch more content inside of my main loop. But I'm not going to be doing that just yet. Instead, I'm just going to be hopping on to my main loop. Now, for my main loop, I'm going to be requiring two variables. The first is going to be a boolean variable of is running, which is initially going to be set to true. This variable checks if my program is still currently running. The second parameter is going to be the SDL underscore events structure. This structure consists of all my SDL underscore events, and it is going to be represented by events as local variable. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create my while loop. So I'm going to go with something like while a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like while is running. While is running or while my program is running, I'm going to do something. I'm going to add a comment that says something like event loop. Event loop is basically going to be a while loop inside of my while loop / a nested while loop. To create an event loop, I'm going to go with another while loop. Now, my event loop does require a parameter of the SDL underscore poll events function. And my SDL underscore poll events function does require a parameter of the memory address of my events as local variable. So I'm going to go with something like the address of operator event. Then I go with the prob curly braces. Okay, basically what the SDL underscore poll events function does is it like looks for all the event types that I'm going to be looking for inside of my while loop. If an event type is met, it does what I tell it to do. That's now let's go ahead and add an event type to show an example. I should not show an example. I might actually really need this event type. I'm going to go with something like if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore quit if my event type is quit if my user clicked the top right X in my window to exit my window. I'm going to do something. I'm going to set my is running boolean variable to be false ending with a semicolon. That exits my entire while loop, ultimately exiting like my entire game. And then I will be adding a bunch more event types for like my key movements and all those stuff, but for the time being, I'm not going to add those. So I'm going to exit my event loop, add a comment here that says something like fill screen. This is going to be me filling my screen. There we go. Now, when I want to fill my screen, basically I do gotta set a color to my renderer because my renderer is like a paintbrush that colors what I tell it to color. To set a color, I could use the SDL underscore set render draw color function. So I'm setting my renderer to draw a color, which means setting a color to my renderer. Okay, bro, what are you doing? Honestly, I'm trying to work on AI text-based logic in SDL3. That said, I haven't started that AI logic stuff yet in this code because I am just writing the basic template for like my actual code. Once I'm done getting this template and I'm done loading both my PNGs up here, adding a texture or like adding a font for my true texture font, which means my stuff that I type on my keyboard, it displays on my window. I want the replies on my window instead of on my console, if that makes any sense. Okay, now I'm going to use the SDL underscore set render draw colors function, which requires a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be my render. The second, third, and fourth parameter is going to be an RGB value, which in this case, I want to set it to be cyan. So I'm going to go with something like 0, 248, and 248, and 255. This is the RGB for cyan. Okay, and then the fifth parameter is going to be alpha slash opacity, which means how transparent or how not transparent I want my color to be. In this case, I don't want my cyan to be transparent at all. Now that I've set a color to my renderer, I'm going to use the function that actually fills my entire screen with the color of my renderer. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore render clear function. This function clears my entire screen with the color of my renderer, ending with a semicolon. Now that I'm done with this as well, I'm going to add another comment that says something like graphics. Graphics is going to be where I draw most of my stuff. And speaking of graphics, before my main loop, I want to add a comment. Which software are you using? Honestly, by software, do you mean IDE? Because I am using like Visual Studio 2022. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like create objects. Because I do need to like create, objects in order to draw them. The first object could be for my hero class. My hero class is going to be having a heroes as object, which does require two parameters. The first is going to be a render, the second is going to be a size, ending with a semicolon. The second object could be representing my dragons as class. This is going to be called a dragons as object, which does require two parameters as well. First is render, second is scale, which I'm going to be setting to be 0.1, ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Once I'm done with that, let's scroll all the way down. Under my graphics, what is it that I want to do first? Maybe I want to draw my hero, so I'm going to go with something like hero.redraw method, which does require two parameters. First is going to be my render. Second is going to be my heroes' texture. Here's the tricky part, guys. Instead of loading my file path here for my heroes' texture, I might actually load it somewhere else. That wouldn't be the case if I had like my texture up here, so I might actually add my draw method instead of being here. I'm gonna copy this. Let me delete it from my from my physics bodies class. I'm just gonna go ahead and paste it here. Hold up, guys, did I like run my code or something? I had a red error somewhere. There we go, because I don't need a parameter here. Let's scroll all the way up here now. Under my heroes class, I did add this parameter. My texture is gonna be my hero texture. Okay, Mr. Whatchamacallit, hiding Omerator, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. Now let's go ahead and copy my dragon method. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that. Okay, I wanted to require one parameter now. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the textures as a requirement. Let's copy that. Let's paste my dragons class here as well under my automate method. This is going to be my dragons as texture, so I'm gonna go with something like dragon, and that's like pretty much it, guys. Okay, I'll always come back. Hiding Ducky, I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon, and then I'll go with something like drag and drop the draw method. That does require parameter of my renderer, ending with a semicolon. I draw my hero, I draw my dragon. Now I want to go ahead and do a few automations. So I'm gonna go with something like hero.apply gravity. I want to apply gravity to my hero. That does require two parameters. First is a floor's y-axis. I did not create a floor, so let's go ahead and create a comment that says something like floor. Floor is basically going to be where my player actually stands. And to create that, I could use the SDL_frect as structure, because technically frect is basically the rectangle. My floor is like a rectangle extended. So I'm going to set this to be something like floor, ending with a semicolon. Now for the attributes, I'm gonna go with something like floor.x-axis, which is gonna be 0, which means my floor is at the left side of my screen, ending with a semicolon. Floor.y-axis is gonna be somewhere around, I don't know, maybe 700, ending with a semicolon. Floor.width is gonna be equal to something like, I don't know, what's the width that I want it to be? Maybe 1050, which is like bigger than my window. And then I'll go with something like floor.height, which is going to be equal to 100. Not too big, not too small. Then, excuse me guys, then I scroll all the way down and fill in the parameters here. First is going to be my floors as y-axis parameter. Second is going to be my y-axis underscore velocity parameter. Ending with a semicolon. I apply gravity to my hero. Then there's something like jump. I don't have those here. Evening all, hiding busy, Slim, I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. Next up, I'm gonna go with something like my dragon class, the automate method. My automate method does require a few parameters. Did I spell automate wrong or something in my dragon class? Okay, so it's automate. Let's go with lowercase a. There we go. Okay, so it's automate, and now my automate method does require two parameters. First is going to be my x-axis underscore velocity, which in this case is like 5 pixels per frame. The second is going to be my window's width. And then I go ahead and end my function with a semicolon. Actually, my method with a semicolon. And that should like pretty much be it. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to add another comment that says something like present render, because I got to present my render on my screen. If I didn't, then my screen is going to be, whatchamacallit, it is going to be like black and white, because without me showing my colors on my screen, there is not going to be any color. There we go. Now to present my renderer, I could use the SDL_render present function. What this function really does is it says my render to go ahead and present itself, but it does require a parameter of my renderer, ending with a semicolon. Now once a renderer, I think I gotta go with like renderer. There we go. Okay, now once I'm done presenting my renderer, I want to add another comment that says something like FPS, because I will be needing FPS, which is frames per second. Without it, my PNGs, my hero, my gravity is going to go really quick, guys. To add FPS, I could use the SDL_delays function. That does require a parameter in milliseconds. In this case, I'm going to go with 16 milliseconds, ending with a semicolon. 16 milliseconds is basically 60 frames per second. That's it. Now, once I'm done with FPS, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and add a comment that says something like cleanup. Now, for my cleanup, this basically occurs when my player actually exits my window. For my cleanup, I want to destroy my window first. So I'm gonna go with something like SDL_destroy windows function. That does require my windows parameter, as my windows is a local variable, my windows pointer as a parameter. Then I'm gonna go with something like SDL_destroy renders function. That does require my renders as a local variable as a parameter. And then I'm gonna go with something like SDL_quit. I'm gonna be quitting my SDL, ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I want to return 0, saying everything went good here. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, moment of truth, guys. I get my first window here, waiting for my second window. Here's my second window, although my player falls really slow, guys, like really slow. Okay, guys, that's too slow. I don't know why did that happen though, but I mean, okay, the reason that happened is because I have my gravity inside my physics body. I made this mistake like way too many times to count right now, guys. All I gotta do to fix that is set my floating point gravity, or like require myself to give me a gravity variable here. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove my gravity from here. I might not need any protected data members, to be honest, guys. Let's scroll all the way down here. I'm going to be requiring a gravity here. Okay, I don't need my gravity anywhere else. So I'm going to go all the way down to my game variables, and I'm going to be creating a floating point of a gravity variable, which is going to be set to 0.5f, ending with a semicolon. And now I scroll all the way down and adding gravity is this variable here. The reason I was falling really slow is because, let's go with something like gravity. Okay, it's because whatchamacallit, I wasn't going like every frame, like my speed wasn't increasing every frame. Okay, now if I did Control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens. I get my first window. Okay, in my second window, he still does fall kind of slow. Hold up, guys, might have to fix that part really quick. Okay, if it's not my gravity parameter that I require here, what else could it be? Let's see. If I were to scroll all the way up here, all the way here to my apply gravity, maybe I remove this y-axis velocity stuff from here. Y-axis velocity increases by gravity, position increases by y-axis velocity. Okay. Now if I were to Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see if I fall quick or slow. I still fall slow, guys. Okay, maybe I gotta do something that actually fixes that. I made this mistake so many times. I should know how to fix this, guys. Give me a quick second. So y-axis velocity, gravity direction rect increases by y-axis velocity. Okay, this is the correct formula for applying gravity. Let's check what my gravity's speed is up here. Okay, under my game variables, it is 0.5 floating point for my gravity. I go with something like apply gravity. I need my floor, I need my y-axis underscore velocity, which in this case is 0. Okay, why does it not like add every frame? Okay, I think I could think that in a bit. That said, once I'm done with this, I want to go ahead and set another color for my render because I do want to see my floor as well. So I'm going to go with SDL underscore set render. Draw colors as function, which does require a few parameters. First is going to be my renderer. Second is going to be an RGB value. Since I don't remember the RGB for brown, I might look it up. Let me say something like, what is the RGB for floor brown color? Okay, let's see. The RGB is 150, 32, 0. So I gotta go with something like 150, 32, and 0. 150, 32, and 0. There we go. Lastly, my opacity / alpha is going to be 255, ending with a semicolon. Once I set a color for my renderer, I want to use the SDL underscore render fill rect function. This function, whatchamacallit, fills my rectangle because my floor is technically a rect. It does require two parameters. The first is going to be my renderer. The second is going to be the memory address of my floor variable, or my floors is rect, ending with a semicolon. Now if I did Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my window here. Okay, he falls slow. Does the speed increase? The speed does not increase. I know why, because it's not like increasing my speed every frame. I want to see if it like works when I land in the floor, because I know how to fix this. I just got to give myself enough time to think. I got this error like so many times. Okay, I mean, he does stop here. Maybe I want him to like go a bit lower type stuff. That's it. I mean, this is pretty decent as well. Okay, perfect. Once I'm done with this, let's try fixing my gravity up real quick. So I go with hero.apply gravity. Okay, so I might not need x-axis and y-axis parameters here because I did not actually use them even once. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove my private data members. Apply gravity floor. Starting point y-axis velocity increases by gravity. I did that, but this happens just once. It does not happen every single frame. So, I mean, to avoid that, I might actually create the apply gravity function inside of my class. Actually, inside of my while loop. Okay, actually, when I say while loop, I do mean main loop. So, for my apply gravity, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Okay, maybe I just copy the inside parts here, and then let's delete this. Let's go ahead and delete that from there. Maybe I could go ahead and try. Firstly, I want to try creating my apply gravity method here inside of my hero class. I'm gonna go with something like void. I'll just go ahead inside of my while loop because I need to apply gravity every single iteration of my loop. So I don't like stick with like one exact position, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete that from there. And then before I present, I'm gonna go ahead and add a comment that says something like apply gravity. Okay, let's go ahead and paste it here. Maybe instead of apply gravity, I say something like apply physics. Okay, because guys, I feel physics sounds a bit more cool. That's it, I'm gonna go with something like hero.dstrect.y-axis. This is gonna be something like my floor.y-axis. Let's go with .y-axis, and then I'm gonna go with something like hero. What did you eat today, bro? Honestly, for breakfast, I did like eat a banana today. That's it, I'm gonna go with something like hero.dstrect, and then I'm gonna go with something like hero.dstrect. Change this to something like floor.y-axis, and change this to be hero.dstrect.height. Okay, this practically excuse me guys, this practically applies gravity. I want to set my y-axis underscore velocity to be equal to 0, ending with a semicolon. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my first window here. Alright guys, it did work. He felt really quick. Let me actually show that again. Let's run the code. Hopefully I get it quick enough. He does fall fast enough, and he stops when he's here. Alright, perfect. Now let me actually hydrate my lips up real quick. Okay, what is your typing speed? Can you go max and stay hydrated? Guys, I actually forgot about being hydrated. I might drink some water. Okay, although I might not know about the can you go max type, so I feel like I type really slow, guys. Okay, that's it. Once I'm done with that, let's go ahead and work on the next content. Because I do not see my dragon on my window. So could it be my dragon's position that's not being displayed on my window type stuff? I want to run the code again real quick. Up. If I were to extend it, I see my dragon all the way up there. In case you guys couldn't see, let's extend this up from here. My tiny dragon is all the way up there. I want to change the size to 0.2, so I'm gonna go ahead and change my dragon's scale to be 0.2. All the way up here, when I go ahead and create my classes, let's go with something like 0.2. Okay, now let's scroll all the way up here for my dragon's position. Now, I want my dragon's position to be somewhere around 100 is high. I want to go with something like 700. Okay, and instead of 900, let's go with something like 800. If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, so my window is here. Where's my dragon? Alright, my dragon is like big enough, but he's still like stuck up there. I want to get him lower. How do I do that? Maybe I change this to be something like 100 for x-axis, and then hit Control S to save the code and run the command. Guys, this is like one reason that I actually did not want to like kind of rush this part up. Why is my dragon like stuck here? Is it like a static position or something? He's like stuck in that exact position. There is no way this is x-axis 100. Let's exit that real quick. Now let me think. Let me think real quick. Why could it be that my dragon is not actually well, could it be because of my automate? I think it's because of my automate, guys. Let's remove my dragon.automate real quick. Okay, now it should work. Let's scroll all the way up here, fix my dragon's position to be something like 700. Okay, 700 by 700. If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. There we go, guys. It was my it was my automate method that was actually tapping with this stuff. Now I want to go ahead and do something here. Let's see. I want to get my dragon lower, even though dragons usually do fly up and everything. I think flying dragon would look cooler, so I might actually leave it like that. But I want to fix my automate. Why does my automate not work here? Maybe because I add my automate here instead of inside of my main loop, because my automate method doesn't like execute every single iteration of my loop. So under my apply physics section, I'm gonna go ahead and add automation as well. So now to automate, I'm gonna go with something like dragon dot dst rect dot x-axis is going to decrease by x-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon. If I did control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Alright guys, I get a moving dragon now. He does actually move, but I do want to add a cap too. So for my cap, I'm gonna go ahead and add a if statement that says something like if my dragon.dst rect, which is basically my dragon's direction rect, dot x-axis is greater than 0, I want to do something. I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces and set my dragon dot dst rect dot x-axis to be equal to my Windows's width, ending with a semicolon. I'm curious, are you faking this accent? Honestly, no, this is like my actual accent. That's it. Now if I did control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, when I go with 0, that's when my dragon gets capped up there. So it's not my automation that's the issue. It's my condition here. No offense, really. Okay, that's it. I wanna simulate a loop. What if I go with something like less than 0? If I did control S to save the code and run the command, guys, it might be the less than issue. Okay, yeah, I should have gone with less than. Now, it might work even if I like add this stuff inside, as a method, because I see where I was actually messing up. Howdy, how doing? Mashingo, is that your pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. Let's scroll all the way up here to my dragon class and create a void dragon actually automate method with a pair of parentheses that does require parameter. Let's go with a bunch of control Z's. Let's add a bunch of control Z's, delete this part, paste that here. There we go. Now I'm just going to be changing this to be less than. Let's go with something like -100. Now if I did control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, so I get my dragon here. He's kind of stuck here, so I gotta fix a tiny logic from there. My fave coder, Slave Vivek. Honestly, it does sound kind of cool. I appreciate you for that, FPR. Okay, if my... Okay, so it decreases. This was my exact condition there. I'm gonna be setting this to be something like 8,000. If I did control S to save the code and run the command again, let's see what happens. My dragon does not move, so apparently I cannot use it as a method inside of my class. So I'm gonna go with a bunch of control shift Z's. Maybe control Z's. Okay, maybe I'll just go with like control shift C. Okay, let's copy this part, delete this entire thing from here, and just scroll down. I mean, I know it does work. I was just trying to like push my luck and check if it works off my apply gravities. I mean, outside my main loop as well, because I like keeping my main loop a bit clean and like compressed. That's it. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this part real quick, paste it here, and paste it here as well. Okay, and this is going to be my Windows's width. Now if I did control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. My dragon does fly because the loop works every single iteration type stuff. Maybe -150 would make sense. If I were to hit control S to save the code again and run the command, let's see what happens. I get a window here. Okay, it exits my window. I think 200 would be the sweet spot in this case. Okay, let's go with something like 200, because guys, I am kind of picky when it comes to like look aesthetics type stuff, because I wanted it to like look kind of perfect. Actually, I wouldn't say perfect, I would say something like smooth type stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna go here, let's see. There we go. Okay, maybe 250 would be the sweet spot here. Okay, now if I did control S to save the code and run the command, because like he goes like more, but he doesn't like completely exit my window. Let's go ahead and see. There, that's what I call smooth now, guys. Okay, perfect. That's actually pretty much it. And for my players' gravity, I want to go with something like a -20 as well. My direction, rect minus, maybe the -20 comes here. Let's go with something like -20. If I did control S to save the code and run the command. Okay, I can't, my bad guys, I can't add an operation here. I'm gonna add the -20 here. Okay, now if I run the code, let's see what happens. Okay, because I want my hero to like fall downwards. He's kind of bumping upwards now. He's like pounding himself. So, to fix that, maybe something like -20. Because I want him to be like actually standing on my floor, if that makes any sense. There we go. Let's see. This should work. Okay, not -20, guys. My bad. I'm going to change this to be +20. Because he, like, if you guys look carefully, my hero is not, like, my hero's PNG is not completely standing on my floor type stuff. That's what I would call perfect, guys. Now, there's no space between them. I mean, there's like 1 or 2 pixel space down here, but guys, I'm not going to be picky for that. This is perfect. I'm going to go ahead and exit my window. And now let's see. What else do I want to add? I might actually add a few if statements to like automate my player. Maybe I might actually add that inside of my heroes' class right here. So I'm gonna go with something like a void method called something like event checks or key controls. Let's go with something like, maybe I'll just go with something like event check. Maybe key controls. Okay, this is gonna be where I actually control my keys for my heroes. My key controls method does require parameter. Excuse me, guys, of my SDL underscore event structure that does consist of a event's pointer representing it. Now, when I go with something like event, I'm pretty sure I gotta go with the memory address of my event, and this is gonna be something like a constant SDL underscore event. Now, for my event, firstly, I want to go ahead and use the SDL underscore the key codes structure that is going to be represented by a keys variable, which is going to be equal to my events.key.key, ending with a semicolon. Now, I'm going to be adding switches, so I'm going to go with something like switch. You guys could use like if statement. It is like honestly the same exact thing. That said, guys, I feel I'm kind of thirsty. Want to drink some water. Give me a sec, guys. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go with something like switch. My switch is gonna be having a condition of my key, and now I'm gonna go ahead and look for something. I'm gonna check if my SDL's key, maybe for my case 1, because switches do have cases, I'm gonna check for my case 1 if my SDL's key is something like, okay, here's the thing. I gotta create a few local variables as well, so I might go with something like A, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Do I wanna fill in the parameters here, maybe? Fine, I might go with something like A down, maybe a boolean variable of something like A down, okay, and a boolean variable of something like D down to check if my D is being pushed down. On the contrary, guys, on the other side, hold up, guys, give me a sec. Maybe instead, I want to check what if I can add the variables here. So I might go with something like A down, a boolean variable of something like A down, which is going to be equal to, okay, which is going to be equal to false initially, and then I'll go with something like D down as well, which is going to be equal to false too, ending with a semicolon. Now, I'm going to check if my SDL's key is A, then I'm going to set my A down boolean variable to be true. Guys, before adding a switcher, okay, love the content, man, really inspires me to start coding more in game dev. Guys, that actually does sound pretty cool. Good luck with that, Ashley, or Jenny pronounced as Ashley Samiango. Guys, I really actually want to work on my pronunciations. That's it. Next up, I am actually, before I add my switches, I'm going to add a if statement to look for an event type. I forgot about that. I'm going to check if my event.type equals to, let's go with something like type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. If my event type is key underscore down, if my user is pushing a button downwards, if any of my keyboard buttons are currently being pushed down, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. Do you want to help us develop an Unreal game engine? We're a content creator company trying to develop our dream game, a fantasy MMO extraction game. Email me. Guys, that actually does sound kind of fun, but I feel like I am kind of busy because of my college and all that type of stuff. But honestly, if I do ever want to try it, I might actually, tell you guys, I'll let you guys know. That's it. Next time, I'm gonna go with something like if my event.tab equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down, then I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this here. I'm gonna set my A down boolean variable to be true because my A is being pushed down, and since this is a case, I'm gonna go ahead and break. For my second case, I'm gonna check if my SDL's key is something like D. If my D is currently being pushed down, I'm gonna set my D down boolean variable to be true as well, ending with a semicolon, then I break. Once I'm done with all that, I want to go ahead and add something that lets my player jump as well. So I might go ahead and create another case to check if my SDL's key is space. If my user clicks space, then I want to do something. Before I really do something, I want to check if my player is currently on ground. So I might create something like a boolean on ground variable, which is going to be equal to something like my is on ground check, or my is on ground method that is inside of my physics bodies as class, and it does require parameter of my floors as y-axis. So I might require parameter here as well of my floating point floors as y-axis. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my floors as y-axis here. Okay, so if my boolean is on ground, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm gonna check here. If a prof parentheses, if on ground, if my player is currently on ground, then I want to go ahead and set my player's y-axis underscore velocity to be equal to my jump strength. Honestly, I might go with something like jump with a prof parentheses. Okay, let's say I want to do something like my hero.jump with a parameter of 12. That is my power. Okay, I require power and y-axis underscore velocity. I might go ahead and create a y-axis underscore velocity here for my hero. Okay, maybe I do add a parameter here of y-axis velocity, so I'm gonna go with some. Maybe, guys, I add a floating point of y-axis underscore velocity here. There we go. I'm just gonna change it to something like y-axis underscore velocity. Alright, perfect. And then I'm gonna go ahead and set my on ground boolean variable to be set to false because I'm not on ground anymore once I do jump, ending with a semicolon. And that's like pretty much it for my first event type. So I'm just gonna be copying this to save time, pasting it here for my second event check, which checks if my key is up. Up is basically the opposite of down. Up checks if my key is no longer being pushed down. And guys, a really crucial part, if you gotta add break. Break is really important here, guys. Okay, that's it. I did like add those things here now. Okay, once I'm done with all that, I'm gonna go ahead and exit my if statement here for my event checks, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do I need like another prof? There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add a comment that says something like key controls. I'm gonna work on my key controls right now depending on what key is currently being pushed down or not. So I'm gonna go with something like if a prof parentheses, if A down is set to true, if my user clicked A, then I want to do something. I want to set my DST rect dot x-axis to decrease by 5 pixels per frame. I could honestly require myself an x-axis parameter, but it is like 5 pixels, so I'm like, might as well. Ending with a semicolon. Can I not add a if statement here? What error do I get? Expected a declaration. I expect a declaration here. Okay, so thinking about it, where do I actually require these parameters? My A down is inside of my function here. So I might copy these two variables. Did I exit outside of my function? I think I am outside. Oh, I'm outside of my function here, guys. My bad. Let's go ahead and copy that, delete this part, paste it here. Okay, if my A down is set to true, I'm going to decrease my speed by 5 pixels per frame. In the other hand, if my D down is set to true, then I'm going to do something. I'm going to set my DST rect.x-axis to increase by 5 pixels per frame, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I drink some coffee because I feel I'm kind of thirsty. Okay, give me a sec, guys. I don't think the coffee is completely like mixture. I just splashed some on my clothes. I hope the stain goes away. Okay, that's exactly what I needed right now. Okay, perfect. Now that I'm done with this, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to be adding my clamping just yet. I might actually add it in a bit though. That's it. It's got something like key control, so I'm going to scroll all the way down to my event loop. Now, under my event loop, I'm going to go ahead and go with something like my hebel dot the key controls function. Okay, which does require a few parameters, my event variable, floor variable, and y-axis velocity. This is going to be my event, my floors is y-axis, and my y-axis underscore velocity, which is basically zero. Why y-axis and not x-axis? Did I require y-axis or x-axis? I went with y-axis, guys. There we go. Gotta be really careful for these typos, guys. X-axis velocity. Did I make that mistake anywhere else? I did not, so I'm gonna go ahead and change my y-axis velocity to be x-axis under my event loop. Just check. There we go. Okay, and that should be pretty much it. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my first window pop up. I get my second window here. I see my hero falling. Moment of truth, guys. Guys, I move per frame, and this is the most glitchiest movement I've gone through. Why is it so glitchy, guys? Like, I can literally see me moving per frame. Does that like lag my stream up or something? Maybe not, guys. So I mean, I actually did not intend to use it inside of my while loop, so it didn't even matter. I just wanted to see if it works. I was kind of pushing my luck, if you guys say so it like that. So I'm just going to be copying this whole thing. Let's go ahead and copy this. Okay, and then I'm going to scroll all the way down here to my event loop right here. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Okay, and these are a down variables. I'm going to go ahead and copy these two basic variables from here under my heroes class. There we go, these basic variables, and paste it inside of my main loop right here. There we go. And my isOnGround is going to be my hero.isOnGround, and floor y-axis is going to be my floor.y-axis. Perfect, guys. And then I go with something like jump. Jump is unidentified because I got to go with hero.theJump method. My x-axis underscore velocity is going to be remaining as my x-axis underscore velocity. And guys, that is actually pretty much it. I'm going to go all the way down here. I am really lazy to even type these 3 lines of code, so I'm going to go ahead and like copy that. Exit outside of my main loop. This is my... Actually, exit outside of my event loop and paste it here. Okay, and instead of going with raw.dst-rect, I'm going to go with hero.dst-rect and hero.dst-rect. Because guys, there are like a few things that doesn't like work through classes, because like it is kind of glitchy type stuff, so I can add that inside of my main loop. I do like to test my luck and see if it actually does work in classes, because if it does, then I wouldn't like have to like fill my entire while loop with a lot of stuff, or fill my actual main loop with all the unnecessary content, and if that makes any sense. That said, this is actually like pretty much it. If I were to hit Control S to save the code, maybe I want to get my boolean isOnGround inside of my while loop here, because I want it to be changing every iteration of my frame. Okay, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Unexpected. Oh, I had a small error down here, guys. Let's see there. Okay, I have a small error here. I missed a prof curly braces somewhere, guys. This is the thing that I hate the most. So my while loop, it starts there. So my first if statement ends here, my second if statement ends here, my if statement ends here, my switch ends here, and then my if statement, it ends here. Okay, my switch ends here, my while loop ends there. Then I go ahead and add a if statement here. Everything looks correct here, honestly, guys. And then my if statement starts there, ends there. dstrec.x-axis. Okay. Why do I see a red underline here? I didn't miss any kind of parentheses type stuff. What up, guys? Okay, give me a sec, guys. Let me actually think this through. Why do I have a red underline here? Let me see the error text real quick. Unexpected pair of parentheses. I have an extra pair of parentheses somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's not that. It cannot be that. Additional function can be generated. Guys, it's the extra pair of parentheses. No matching tokens found. Line 33. Oh, wait, it actually sent me the line as well. Line 33. I start there. For my hero, I end here. Void draw method. I have a void draw method. Guys, where did I... Okay, wait, let me actually copy my entire main loop real quick. I want to go ahead and delete this part and like check if that fixes it. Apply gravity. Let's copy that. Delete that. Okay, I mean, I know without my main loop I won't be able to see much here and all that stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and paste my main loop back here. Why do I have it red? What if I delete this? Then that doesn't even work. What if I add here? And then add another pair of parentheses. That doesn't make sense, guys. Hold up. I know I messed. I know that I added a pair of parentheses. Guys, this is the most annoyingest part about actually writing the code. Looking where I like actually added a extra pair of parentheses. Apply physics. That's gravity. This is automation. Okay, if it's less than or equal to negative 250. Where did I mess up, guys? Hold on. Render floor. It's somewhere here. Let's delete this part. Alright, guys, let's delete everything from here. Okay, there. It still doesn't fix it. Where did I mess up? Let's go with a bunch of Control Z's. Alright, guys, I want to go with like a bunch of Control C's to check if I'm still like making the same silly mistake. There, now this fixed my mistake. Let's go with Control Shift Z. It didn't get me an error. Shift Z got me one error. Shift Z. Fix those two errors. And then okay, here. Control Z. No error here. Now, I do not have a error here because for my main loop, I added this stuff here. I added my while loop here. That is correct. I added my statement here. That is correct. Everything's correct here for the time being. But if I go to my heroes class, I want to go ahead and delete my entire void function. My void function begins there and it ends here. There we go, guys. I think I understand what I was missing. I was missing a pair of parentheses here that starts my heroes class. Alright, perfection, guys. If I did Control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens, I get my first window here. I get my second window here where my this thing is looped. I can move smoothly now. My A does not work. Gotta like move with the... I don't move at all anymore. Okay, let's fix that part as well real quick, guys. This is supposed to be a stream where I work with text logic. After this, I'm going to work with the text logic type stuff. Okay, let's see. If A down is set to true, okay, I have A down, and then I have all that stuff. T controls. Okay, everything here is correct. False. D down is set to false as well. And then I have hero is on ground check. Could be a reason why I don't jump. I break every single time. If A down is set to true, hero.dstreg decreases by 5 pixels, hero.dstreg increases by 5 pixels. What is something that's limiting me from moving anymore in that case, back or front? Let's run the code real quick. I can jump, I can go towards the right. Once I stop moving, I cannot jump at all. Can I go towards the left as well? Okay, it does work, but if I leave the button, then I cannot go anymore. I did make sure to use the SDL_key codes structure. Hello, hiding Johnny. I appreciate you joining the stream. Let's copy this. Say what, guys? Maybe the thing that was wrong is because I gotta add my SDL_key codes structure. Where do I add my SDL_key codes structure? It does not feel correct if I add it. Maybe I paste it here. I don't know. Okay, guys. I think that this should actually. This is what I did before. Let me think deeply. There we go, guys. I gotta change this to false. Okay, perfect. Now party control has to save the code and run the command and see what happens. Guys, a moment of silence was like all it takes to actually figure out the code. Okay, if I go, shut up, guys. Can you guys even like see my whole window from here? If I go towards the right, I can go towards the right. I can go towards the left. I can like play around here. But my jump doesn't work. Let's go ahead and work with my jump logic now. If my player is on ground check is my this on ground check. That must be inside of my while loop. And now if I did control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens. Excuse me, guys. Okay, so I get my window back here. I can move left, I can move right, but I cannot jump. Maybe the reason I can't jump is because my is on ground is not being true at any time. I might remove my this variable from here. Okay, and then when I apply gravity to myself, so apply physics section, I'm gonna go ahead and set my on ground boolean variable to be set to true, ending with a semicolon. And now if I did control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my window here. I cannot jump. What could be the reason that's actually limiting me from jumping? I know that it could be my is on ground check, so I'm gonna scroll all the way up here until I don't find my physics body is on ground that requires a floors y-axis as a parameter. Now, if my dstreg.y-axis plus dstreg.height is greater than or equal to my floors y-axis, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Floating point power, floating point y-axis. This is for my jump method. Okay, here, I want to go ahead and check. The return type doesn't seem correct here. Okay, this requires... What does this mean? Let me think. If my rex is y-axis, plus my rex's height, my rex's bottom is higher than or equal to my floor. What if I went with less than? I know less than won't work, but I just want to try it. It's like worth a try, guys. Let's see. Okay, I can jump. Let's change this to be something like greater than. Okay, now why does it not work? Maybe because I set my on ground to be hero is on ground. Instead, I want to set this to be something like false, because my player is initially not on ground. When I jump, I'm gonna set my on ground to be equal to false, ending with a semicolon because I'm not on ground anymore. When I apply gravity, let's end this with a semicolon. Okay, and when I apply gravity under my apply physics, I'm gonna set it to be true. If I were to run the code, let's see what happens. I get my first window here. I still can't jump, guys. Why can't I actually jump? Is something like messing with my actual jump logic? Okay, let's change this to be greater than. Guys, I might actually have to ask Sensei/ChatGPT why can't I actually jump? Because, like, I know there's a silly mistake here. I did try jumping before. Let me think real quick, guys. These event checks work for key down while my space is being held down. If I am on ground, if on ground is set to true, hero dot jump. I want to jump. My hero wants to jump. Instead, I could set something like my hero dot DSD reg. Jump, jump, jump. Is my jump logic wrong? Yeah, I've been checking my on ground. It might be my jump logic, guys. Power, velocity. Maybe instead of going with something like a jump method, I might delete that method, scroll all the way down, go with something like my game variables. I have my y-axis underscore velocity. So I might go with something like hero.dsdirect dot y-axis is gonna be equal to -12 ending with a semicolon. And now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Guys, I should actually move on to the text-based logic. There we go. Okay, instead I'm gonna go ahead and increase it by maybe increase it by -12 pixels per frame. If I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I mean, I jump, but then I don't like jump as I want to jump. Something is limiting me here, guys. Okay, what could it be that's limiting me? Maybe my applied gravity is up on ground, which is set to 2. Let's delete that. And do I have any other on ground check? I do have one. Let's hit Control S to save the code. Guys, I see some progress here. That is puny jumps. I want like a bit bigger jump. Something that's pulling me down faster than I can actually jump. It decreases by a -12. No. This wouldn't make sense. Hero.dsdirect.y-axis. Add a max jump cap, then put gravity on true. That does make sense, but I want to like... Maybe I set it equal to -12. My DSD right. This is my position. Oh, wait, hold up, guys. Remembered. My y-axis underscore velocity. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. There we go. Now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Guys, all I need is just some jogging of memory. If I jump, the jump logic works now. If I move, I can like jump while moving as well. There we go, guys. It's kind of hard to like control this stuff from here. There we go. Let's move and jump. Okay, perfect. Now, I won't be adding clamping just yet. I'm going to do something else now. Let's see. Firstly, I want to drink some water because I'm kind of thirsty. My bad, guys. I meant coffee. Oh, guys. Coffee is actually really good. Okay, guys. That was pretty much it. A round of applause, guys. This took me an hour, 38 minutes. Such a waste of time. It wasn't a waste of time. I didn't get a pretty good review. That's it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create another class. This time, I'm going to create a class finally for the topic of my stream, guys. Text AI logic. So, I'm going to be creating a class called something like chatbot. Let's go with something like chatbot. Okay, this class is going to be in charge of me chatting. I might actually... Okay, let me think this through. I want to add a chatbot class for me and for my NPC separately. How would I do that? Let's think. First add on me. How is bro 24/7 online? Guys, I don't think I'm 24/7 online. That's it. Let's see. Let me actually push my brains a bit, guys. Let's think. I want my chatbot for my hero. So I might actually create a chatbot inside my heroes class. Would that be a smart move, guys? I think that might be a smart move. I might need some coffee to actually confirm that. Okay, let's see. What do I need for a chatbot? Let's think. I might need my font. So font is a thing that I might need. So I gotta go ahead and add that. And then what else? Chatbot requires of text. That is going to be my font. It requires a texture. So my texture could be inherited through another base class. I mean another base class. After my physics bodies this class, I'm gonna go ahead and create another class called chatbox, or just chat. This is gonna be a what up guys, I can't phrase. This is gonna be my parent class slash my base class for my classes that inherit this thing, if that makes any sense. Now I am going to be requiring a protected data member, okay, of a font for my text. So I might go with something like SDL underscore texture, which is going to be representing my textures this font, ending with a semicolon. Then I go ahead and publicize everything. Now, does my chatbot require a constructor? I'm pretty sure I want it to require a constructor because I want the chat to be above my players' head, if that makes any sense. No, bro, you're always live at night. Honestly, it is like almost 3 p.m. for me right now. Okay, good game, man. Good luck ahead. Good night. Honestly, I appreciate you sticking through the stream, Zeno. I'll catch you next stream. Okay guys, that said, I'm thinking really hard because this is a new part for me. I've never like actually gotten a chatbot above my players' head. Okay, let's see. This shouldn't be as hard. This is like my health bars of logic like I did in Python. Can't be that hard, guys. Like, let's just do something and something is just gonna happen. Let's go with something like constructor. I'm gonna create a constructor for my chats class that does require a few parameters. The first parameter could be something like a render. So I'm gonna go with SDL underscore renders a structure which consists of a renders pointer. The second could be something like a scale, a floating point scale. Okay, guys, I think I'm actually getting somewhere. And then I might require a standard string variable called something like text input. This is going to be where I store what my user types, which is going to be equal to an empty quotes ending with a semicolon. I'm not going to be adding message history just... I think I need to add message history, but I don't think I'm like that advanced for like getting my AI to like scan all my previous messages. Instead, I might just add a last message because guys, this is going to be a bunch of if-else ifs because like I haven't like learned a real AI logic, like a real chatbot logic. This is just an NPC storyline type stuff. Although, here's the thing. I want to add a real AI chatbot logic. Okay, guys, let's do something. Let's just write something and I'm going to get ideas while I write it. Alright up, guys. Let's pretend I actually know what I'm doing right now. Okay, let me drink some coffee. Okay, maybe I do add chat history as well, because like guys, there's nothing worse that could nothing could go wrong if I add like a standard vector for my chat's history that only consists of standard strings. This is going to be called something like a message histories vector. Okay, ending with a semicolon. Now, did I spell standard vector correct? Standard vector consists of standard string called message history. Here's the thing. When I create a standard vector, did I even include vectors? I did not include vectors. So let me go ahead and include vectors. So I'm going to go with something like hashtag include a pair of ankle braces. Let's say I want to include vector. Okay, then I scroll all the way down and now this is all of a sudden working, guys. Okay, once I'm done with that, let's see. I require renderer, I require scale. What else do I require? I might actually want to load my font on my screen. To do that, I could go with, before my font, I'm pretty sure that I might need a surface. Okay, so I create a constructor. Let's think, guys. We create constructor. What is the purpose of my constructor? The purpose could be my position and my scaling for my renderer. My textures could be created inside of my constructor. I use the texture to create a surface. So I create a surface. Hold up, guys, I'm kind of planning everything real quick. So I create a surface first, and then I check if the surface was created properly. I create my texture, add my file path, and all that stuff. So I think I might not need a constructor here, guys. Let's delete this. What are we doing here? Honestly, I'm like working on a regular game logic. where I can actually talk to my NPCs. This is like level 3 of like text-based AI logic or like text AI logic type stuff. There are like 6 levels, these 6 being the actual chatbot type stuff. That's really advanced for me, guys. That said, let's go ahead and instead of creating a constructor, I'm gonna go ahead and create a color first for my text. So I'm gonna use the SDL_colors structure. Guys, all this time I was actually trying to strategizing like what to do. I think I understand it now. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a text colors as local variable, okay, which is gonna be a pointer. SDL_color. There we go. Okay, and I think it doesn't have to be a pointer. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like text color. Okay, with a pair of curly braces. Now my color for my text is gonna be black, so I'm gonna go with 00255, which is an RGBA value, which stands for RGB and alpha. And then I'm gonna go ahead and end this entire stuff with a semicolon. Then let's create a surface. I'm gonna go ahead and use the SDL_surfaces structure, which consists of a surfaces local variable that does require actually, which is going to be equal to the SDL_ create texture from surface. This is going to be what does my surface require. Let's think. Okay, so it's not SDL. I might use something like TDF_render text blended function. Okay, there we go. Then I go with the pair of parentheses. Now my TDF_render text blended function requires a few parameters. It requires a font parameter, it requires a text parameter, it requires a length parameter, and it requires a color parameter. And now here's the thing. If I wanted, I could go ahead and create my font here. Might as well do it, honestly. Let's create my font here. Why is this a protective? Why should this be whatchamacallit? Guys, I cannot phrase. Why is this a parent class or a derived class if I actually want to add everything here? Maybe I let my user pick my fonts. If I want to let my user pick my fonts, then this is going to be requiring a constructor. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, delete it, go with a comment that says something like constructor. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, let's go ahead and create a constructor for my chatsys class. I'm gonna go with a chat constructor with a pair of parentheses that does require a TDF_fonts structure, which represents a fonts parameter ending with a semicolon. Now when I create TDF_font, okay, it needs to be a pointer. I was correct, guys. We're actually good. Okay, and then I just require a fonts parameter. That should be pretty much it, right? Should actually be pretty much it. Then I'm gonna go with the pair of curly braces and then paste this here. Now I just need a fonts parameter. And then I'm gonna go ahead and use the fonts parameter here. And then the second parameter is going to be my text, which in this case is going to be my text input. But keeping in mind, my text input is a standard string, not a constant string. To convert my text input to a constant string, I could use the s string. Was it c string? I think it was c string, guys. The c string function. This function converts my text input to be a constant string. Then I'm gonna add a comma. My third parameter is going to be a length. Since I don't have a length, I'm going to set this to be a 0. Lastly, my final parameter is going to be colors. So I'm going to use my text colors as local variable, and then I add my function with a semicolon. Okay, this is SDL_color. Should this be a pointer towards text color? Nope. Why did I get a error here after adding my text color? Text color. Did I spell it wrong? I think it's spelled correct, guys. Render text blended. Font. Text. I have a font, I have a text, I have a length, I have a color. SDL_color is a structure. I did everything correct. What could have caused the red underline? Let me think real quick, guys. I go with a comma. And then text color. TDF underscore render text blended. Why can I not use my color? Am I doing something wrong here? What is it that I could be messing up here, guys? Let's think. I have a text input, which is a C string. I have length, which is 0. I have color. Everything is correct. Why do I have a red underline? Maybe I hover over it. Let's see the error. What is my error, guys? Let's see. TDF underscore render text blended 000235. That is an RGBA value. Is something wrong here in that case? I'm using my text input from here. That is correct. I'm using my... I don't need texture. Equal to sign. I think I should use my equal to sign because I'm setting my surface to be this function. Let's see. Okay, so my SDL underscore surface. TDF underscore render text blended. Could it be because I don't have a literal font as my function here? Maybe I try adding a font, guys. Like, I don't see a downside in adding a font here. So, could it be because I have a function here? Maybe I go ahead and use a TDF underscore fonts structure with a pair of parentheses. Okay. Text color. Oh, guys, hold up. Why did that actually make sense? What if I go with the pair of curly braces here? Hold up, guys. Let's go ahead and close the curly braces. Go ahead and open it up here. Okay, it still didn't work, guys. For some reason, I thought that made sense. Apparently not, I guess. Okay, what time is it for you there? It's almost 3 p.m. Okay, let's go with Control-Shift-C. Control-C. TDF underscore font, which is going to be represented by a font's local variable, which is going to be a pointer. Then I'm going to go ahead and set my font to be equal to image underscore the open fonts function. Actually, TDF underscore open font. Let's go with something like TDF underscore open font, which does require a few parameters. It requires a file path, any size. In this case, my file path is going to be in a pair of quotes. I'm going to go with Control Alt L to get my solution explorer here open in file browser. Let's see, so it's my font / open sans italic. Guys, because I forgot my file path, it's hard to memorize the file path for some reason. I'm gonna go with something like font / open sans, okay, hyphen italic. There we go, .tdf. True texture font. My size is going to be 24. Now, I wouldn't require my parameter here. Ultimately, I wouldn't require my entire constructor here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my constructor. Go with something like Shift-Tab to de-indent. Now I kind of use my SDL, probably because I didn't end my function with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Now my font is going to be my font. Why can't I use my true texture font? TDF underscore render text blended. Surface. I create a surface. My surface does not work. Everything is correct here. I can't like see. Okay, bro, where are you from? Honestly, I used to answer much, but these days I did like avoid answering that. Okay, maybe let's remove my font from here. And think kind of deep, guys. I create a color, I create a surface. This is how I usually do it. This is how it's usually done. Requires a font. Requires a constant character text. Does it require the memory address of my font? Nope. Does it? This is... I think this is like the correct way to do it. Okay, maybe I go with something. I wanna Sensei slash ChatGPT, but let's try running it. I wanna see what error I get. Alright guys, a bunch of error. Initialization cannot convert SDL surface to SDL surface. What is my first error? No suitable constructor exists to convert SDL surface to SDL surface. I need a constructor. No suitable constructor. My constructor requires a parameter 3 p.m. or a.m. Honestly, it is going to be 3 p.m. for me. That's it. How are you doing? Mosen Mick, is that your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Guys, I wanna Sensei slash ChatGPT for help here. I might actually do that. Let's go with Control A, Control C. Okay, let's get Sensei slash ChatGPT. Let's paste this here. Go with Shift Enter and say something like Sensei. I tried writing this code. It took me about 2 hours-ish. Okay, although in my chats class, when I try to create a surface, why do I get a red underline in my SDL underscore render text underscore blended function question mark? Okay, a TDF render text blended returns a pointer. Does it? Honestly, I feel like I did do this part correct though, because this is how I usually like do it, because like it does require these parameters. I gave it all the parameters that it requires. Requires a pointer. Okay, pointer to a surface, guys. I think I am kind of stupid. I should have literally known it. Like, okay, a collection of pixels used in software, guys. I think we didn't need ChatGPT slash Sensei for this. After all, actually, I wouldn't take credit for this because like I did get help. I really appreciate you, Mark. Okay, that's it, guys. At least we figured this out. Actually, I didn't figure it out. At least you guys pointed this out. That's it. Let me drink some water. I'm kind of thirsty. By water, I actually meant coffee. Okay, perfect. Now, once I'm done creating a surface, I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm going to go ahead and add a if statement to check if my surface was created properly. So I'm going to go with something like surface and then a pair of curly braces. Now, I check something. So if my surface was created properly, I want to go ahead and create a texture. So I'm going to set my textures as local variable to be equal to, let's see, press Alt plus F4 to open error. Oh, I should actually try that. Okay, you guys have water? Guys, I should actually drink some water. I do like have a bottle here, but I drink it like really less. Okay, when you see the function sign, where you see what parameters it needs, it says SDL underscore surfaces pointer. When you see the function, it does say the SDL underscore surfaces. Guys, I actually didn't know that we actually look like the pointer like up here. That is like something new, but I will actually remember that next time. I do appreciate you, Mark. Okay, next up, I'm gonna go ahead and create a texture. So I'm gonna use the textures as my text textures is local variable, and then set that equal to SDL underscore the create texture from surfaces function. I'm gonna go with something like from surface. So I'm gonna be creating a texture from a surface. Okay, perfect. That fast way, I see. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go with a pair of parentheses. And now my create texture from surface does require 2 parameters. The first is gonna be a renders as parameter. So I might actually require a font and a SDL underscore renders as parameter, which is going to be representing a renders as pointer. Okay, perfect. And then once I'm done with that, let's scroll all the way down here. I'm gonna go ahead and add my render as the first parameter here, and then let's see. I'm going to be requiring my surface as my second parameter. My surface in this case is going to be my text surfaces parameter. I'm going to change this to be something like text surface. And guys, apparently I got more coffee. I guess let's just drink some more coffee. I think I should like decrease my coffee consumption, guys. I feel it is like way too much. That's it. I'm gonna go with something like text surface. Okay, your English is so fluid. Honestly, I appreciate you, Johnny. That actually means some work to me, guys. Okay, that's the next up. I'm going to require the memory address of my surface. I'm going to go with something like the address of operator of my text surfaces parameter. Okay, maybe I just go with text surface. and then I go ahead and end it with a semicolon. It said pointer of my text surface, so that my text surface is already a pointer. Okay. Okay, he's very good. Honestly, I appreciate you, Lover. Okay, that's it. Now, once I do create my texture, I do want to do something. Let's see. I create my texture, and then I want to display my texture on my window. But before I do that, I want to get the size of my texture because I don't want to use like magic numbers or my texture is going to be extended. What you making a game or what? Honestly, I am like actually making a game that has gravity in it, that has like automation, movement, maybe collision logic added later and all that. But most importantly, today I am like working with storyline text-based logic or like AI text-based logic, where I talk something, I type something on my keyboard, it displays above my player's head, and my AI or like my enemy NPC PNG, it replies accordingly. But I will be using, since this is like level 3, so I can't actually use a whole chatbot logic because I don't know how to do that stuff just yet. I am going to be using like if statements to like, or not if statement, maps to actually reply accordingly depending on my text type stuff. And I do have memory message history as well. That said, next up, let's go ahead and do something. So once I create my texture, I'm going to be creating two variables. The first is a floating point of textures is width, and then a floating point of textures is height, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and then once I do create these two variables, I'm going to +use a function that actually gets my textures as width and height. In Unity, honestly, I am using SDL3, and plus I am like using SDL3 in like C++. Unity is like for C#, the game engine for C++ is like Unreal. That's it. I am not using a game engine for the time being. Instead, I'm using the SDL3's graphics library because I feel that requires more programming. Before I do move on to like using really game engines that make stuff easy for us, I do want to like write the code myself to understand what happens like behind the or in the back or something. That said, yeah, I think so. He's Indian. He's from India. Honestly, guys, I haven't like been to India, but I might actually someday visit. They're kind of excited for that. Okay, so I'm going to use the SDL_getTextureSize function. So I'm going to go with something like getTextureSize. Now, this function requires a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be my texture, which in this case is going to be my text texture. The second parameter is going to be the memory address of my textures width, and the memory address of my textures height, ending with a semicolon. According to this time zone, you're probably from Chicago. Guys, close enough. That's it. Oh, thanks for replying. Honestly, okay, next up. Once I'm done with getting my textures width and height, I'm going to go ahead and do something. Let's see. Firstly, I want to go ahead and display my text on my window. To do that, I could go ahead and use the SDL_render texture function. Okay, so this is my render to render a texture, but here, is it appropriate to like render my texture here? I do know that I gotta render my texture, but I need to have a rect as well. Maybe I go ahead and create a DSD rect here. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a direction rect here as well. Let's go with something like a floating point. Not a floating point, guys. Give me a sec. Maybe, guys, I need some more coffee to jumpstart my brains. Give me a sec, guys. And guys, tomorrow I have my finals. I don't know why am I like still streaming here. That's it, because I do want to like, I feel I understand what's going on here. I just gotta like get the logic stuck in my brains. Once it is, then it's gonna be very easy, guys. That's it, let's think. So, my DSD rect is going to be an SDL_F rect. So I'm going to go ahead and, okay, let's use the SDL_, maybe I create my direction rect above my constructor. I'm going to use the SDL_F rect structure. This is going to be called something like DSD rect, direction rect. Okay, what's the time right now on your side? Honestly, it is like 3 p.m. That's it, I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. A C++ program. Honestly, I just like C++. That's it. Now, I'm going to go with something like SDL_render texture. Now, for my render texture, before I actually do render a texture, I'm going to go ahead and add a few parameters for my DSD rect. I'm going to go with something like DSD rect dot x-axis equals to my x-axis parameter ending with a semicolon. It's 3:01 p.m. Maybe, guys. That's it. Next, I'm gonna go with something like DSD rect dot y-axis equals to y-axis parameter, and it does show right underlined because I didn't require those parameters in my constructor here, but I might actually require those. Maybe for my constructor here. I need a font though. I could like hard code numbers here, but I don't feel like doing that. So I'm gonna go with something like floating point of x-axis, floating point of y-axis, floating point of width, and lastly floating point of height. I require these parameters. Okay, how do you learn it? Honestly, I did like learn through Sensei/ChatGPT. That said, let's see, we're very close to 100 likes. Honestly, guys, we did hit 100 likes. I appreciate you guys so much for that. Let's go. Okay, that's it. Now, once I'm done with that, do I require a scale parameter to say the size of my, maybe scale is going to be inside of my specific classes. That's it. I'm going to go with something like my dstrect dot width equals to my width ending with a semicolon, and then a dstrect dot height equals to my height ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I drink some water, guys, because I am kind of thirsty. Actually, I think it was coffee. My bad, guys. There we go. Okay, now I create my direction rect. I create my floating point texture width and height. Should I set this to be my textures as width? I mean, I create my texture here. I could create my texture somewhere there as well. Maybe I go with something like textures as width and textures as height. The thing is, do I want to multiply it by my scale? I've added all these parameters. Might as well add another parameter of a floating point scale. Okay, guys, these are a lot of parameters. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and multiply this by my scale as well, because I don't want my text to be really big. Okay, let's multiply this by my scale as well, so I'm gonna go with asterisk scale. You write your program so confident, guys, it's all a part of my poker face. I mean, most of the time, I don't understand what I'm doing. I just, like, type stuff, and then I see, like, the more I'm typing, the more, whatchamacallit, I think, I start, like, thinking what I gotta type, and then I understand what that means, and I, like, delete stuff and like add like new content, if that makes any sense. Because for the time being, I don't even know if this is actually going to work until I don't run the code. That's it. Next up, once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and let's say actually display my texture in my screen. So to do that, I could go ahead and use the SDL_render textures as function. So I'm going to go ahead and render my texture on my screen. That does require a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be my texture. Is it my texture? Honestly, first is going to be my render. So first is going to be my render parameter. The second is going to be my texture parameter. Third is going to be a source rect. Since I don't have a source rect, I'm going to be setting that to be equal to null PDR for the time being, ending with a semicolon. And then I might go with something like the address operator of my DST rect. Then I have my entire function with a semicolon. Okay, next up. Now, honestly, I might actually create a separate function to drawing my stuff instead of like actually drawing it on my window type stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this from here. Let's exit outside of my constructor. My constructor, I'm assuming, exits here. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and create a void display text on a window function. This function is gonna be requiring to, excuse me guys, actually one parameter. Okay, which is going to be my SDL_renders parameter. Okay, and then I go with the prof curly braces and paste all this here. And that's actually very much it for my parent class here, guys. Once I'm done with my parent class, I'm gonna go ahead and inherit that inside of my hero class. So I'm gonna inherit all the public content from my physics bodies class and also all the public content from my chats class. And since I did do that, I need to add the constructor of my chats class as well. So I'm gonna add a comment here. Let's go with something like my chats constructor. I'm gonna go with something like chat, just so it looks good. I'm gonna add a prof parentheses here, and then indent it a bit. That looks much better, guys. But do you know DSA? Honestly, I haven't like started DSA, but I am saving that for like another content and even lead code. Like I'm really holding myself back from trying lead code because many of you guys said it is really hard to like solve those problems. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. That's it. How are you doing? Lakshi, is that how I pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. Let's see. My chat does require a few parameters. It requires a render. It requires a bunch of parameters. Render, font, x-axis, y-axis, width, height, scale. Render, font, x-axis, y-axis, width, height, and scale. Render, so this is going to be my render. And then font is going to be my font that I haven't created yet, so let's go ahead and create it here. I'm gonna go ahead and use the TDF underscore fonts structure that consists of a fonts a local variable, which is going to be equal to TDF underscore open fonts function with a pair of parentheses. My font is going to be requiring two parameters, file path and size. My file path is going to be something like, I don't honestly know, I might go with something like open sans. Okay, open sans italic. There we go, open sans italic .tdf. This is my fonts file path. Maybe I go with something like fonts slash. Okay, and my size is going to be something like 10. I don't want it to be too big, not too small. Now that I've created a font, I do want to add an if statement to check if it was not created properly, because apparently in C++ we do got to give ourselves errors. Okay, you're just going too fast. Honestly, should I like talk a bit slow? Where do you work? Honestly, I don't work, guys. That's it. How are you doing, Anna? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, next up, let's see. I'm gonna add a if statement to check something. Let's say something like if not font, if my font was not created properly, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces. Okay, apparently we can't add if statements here, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove this from here. I think my font is correct, though. I add a few parameters here. That is my font's parameter, and then I require a what are parameters? X-axis, y-axis, floating point, width, height. So I gotta go with x-axis. My x-axis needs to be above my player's head. I'm going to be setting x-axis to be 0, y-axis to be 0, width to be 0, and height to be 0 for the time being. And then my scale is going to be something like 0.1. Okay, then I go with a pair of curly braces. Now image dot. Okay, what is your goal in learning C++? I'd love to work with you on a game. We need C++ for database and item system stuff, and we don't know anything about C++. Honestly, my goal by the end of my program for like 258 series is to make a game in general that consists of AI logic and where I can actually talk to my NPCs. So I'm actually working on that. How much question you done on lead code? I haven't done a single question. I've been holding myself really back, guys. I'm saving lead code like for a separate like series, if that makes any sense. That's it. I go with the DST vector. Can I not have access to my DST vector? That is like from my physics bodies this class. X-axis, y-axis, width, height. I don't know. Why can I not use my DST vector? Maybe I don't want to inherit the public content here. Okay, I think I'll go with a bunch of control Z's, guys. Maybe instead of adding my chatsys class here, let's go with control shift Z. Okay, maybe this is just gonna be a chatsys general class, not a base class. But if it's not a base class, I need a font. My font might be added by my player on my main loop when I create an object. That fixes almost everything here, guys. Does it? I did not work on my message history section. I will work on that in a bit, though. Display text. I go ahead and display my text renderer. Everything looks correct. Now, let's scroll all the way down. The position is going to be above my player's head. I gotta find out how do we do that. Okay, where are you from? I used to answer on March. That's what I did avoid saying that. Can we meet, guys? Honestly, I don't think like for the time being, because like, guys, I have like almost zero protection with me. That said, let's see. Let's scroll all the way down here. Okay, maybe I go with something like apply physics. Under my graphics section, I want to go ahead. Actually, first I want to create an object. So I'm going to go ahead and create a chat object. It's going to be called something like chat. Now I require a few parameters. What are parameters? I forgot. I require my renderer, font, x-axis, y-axis, width, height, and scale. So let's go ahead and create my font here. So under my floor, I'm gonna add a comment that says something like load font. Now to load my font, I'm gonna go ahead and use the TDF underscore fonts structure that is going to be representing a fonts variable, which is going to be equal to TDF underscore open font, which does require two parameters. First is a file path, which is going to be fonts in this case. Actually, was it fonts? I think it's fonts. font slash open sans italic dot tdf. Second is going to be a size, which is going to be something like 10, I don't know. And then I ended with a semicolon. Bro, what are you doing? Basically, let me go ahead and run the code real quick. I could like show it to you guys. Why does my boolean not work here? Okay, maybe because I need parameters. The first is going to be my renderer. The second is going to be my font. The third parameter is going to be x-axis. Okay, I don't know where to add my x-axis for the time being. I'll go with 100. Y-axis is going to be 100. Width is going to be something like my... Here's the thing. Do I want to add width? I have my textures as width and my textures as height inside of my class, so I might not need my width. Textures as width, textures as height. Do I even need width and height? I don't think I need width and height parameter here. I might delete those. Okay, because honestly, I was thinking about it. I did not actually need my width and height because like I'm using my textures of width, not my actual width that I said. So instead of width and height, so x-axis, y-axis, scale. My scale is going to be something like 0.1, which is 10% of my original size, ending with a semicolon. Now, okay, you're just doing for yourself. Honestly, I'm doing it for like my series because like I do have a program for like 250-day series. This is the code that I've written so far where my NPC, it like moves around, it loops. I can jump, I can move around. But I cannot type something just yet because I did not actually add those logics up here. Speaking of that, guys, I want to use the restroom. I think all the coffee that I've been drinking is kind of paying off in a weird way. Well, guys, I think I should drink some water, guys. There's no way I think the coffee was a bit too much for me. Okay, that's it. Let's see. What is the next thing that I might do to display my font on my screen? I might go ahead and create a font events function inside of my fonts method here. So I'm gonna go ahead and create something like a void method called something like text event. Let's go with something like text event. Can you stop streaming? The stream sucks. Honestly, guys, stream sucks is kind of crazy. That's it on my text events my text events method is going to be requiring a parameter, which is going to be something like a constant SDL underscore events structure, which represents, let's say, something like a events variables memory address. Then I go with the prof curly braces. Now, inside of my text events variable, I'm going to go ahead and do something. Let's say I want to firstly use the SDL underscore key codes structure because I will be needing access to my keys, which is going to be equal to event.key.key, ending with a semicolon. Now I want to add a statement to look for event type. Let's say if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore text underscore input, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm just joking, by the way. Honestly, I actually knew that, guys. Okay, that said, QQ or question, does hero need to know about renderer or other way around? Just saw hero constructor accepting renderer argument. Honestly, technically what renderer really is like a paintbrush. Without the renderer parameter here, I wouldn't be able to display my hero on my window because renderer is like a paintbrush that colors what I tell it to color. So when I use the SDL underscore render texture function, this function requires a parameter of my renderer. And this is the function that displays my PNG on my window, if that makes any sense. That said, now, as my event type, this is my event type. But here's the thing, before I do add my event type, I want to add an if statement, or like if you boolean values here. So I might go ahead and create something like a boolean value of chat on, which is initially going to be something like false, and then a boolean value of something like chat off, which is initially going to be set to true, ending with a semicolon. What the chat on and chat... Okay, actually, yeah, what the chat on and chat off really does is, maybe I just set my chat on to be false. Okay, this is to check if my chat is on, because if I were to like hit A or D on my window for moving my players around, that would affect like my actual window as well. Okay, next up, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a statement, sure. Okay, whatchamacallit, guys. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like if a pair of parentheses. Let's say something like only if my chat is on, only if my chat is on, that's when I'm gonna go ahead and do this part. That's when I'm gonna go ahead and paste this inside of my chat on. Okay, is there spell it correct? It's spelled as chat on. There we go. Initially it is set to false, but how is it going to be set to true? I'm going to add a statement to check if my event dot type equals to SDL underscore event underscore. Okay, here's the thing, guys. I want my chat on to be changing every single time. So even though I have a variable here, I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. I'm going to be adding that stuff inside of my main loop, so I would not require this if statement here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the if statement, delete this from here as well. Okay, and then go with something like shift tab to de-indent. Now, inside my if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore text underscore input, I'm going to go ahead and add my input text boolean variable input text to increase by, let's say, something like my event.text.text. Okay, so this adds whatever I type on my keyboard to this variable here, ending with a semicolon. Now, is it called input text or text input? It is called text input, so I'm gonna change input text to be text input, the correct variable name, guys. Alright, perfect. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add another if statement. My second if statement is gonna be in charge of doing something if a certain button is pressed on my keyboard. So I'm gonna go with something like if my event dot type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. If my event type is keyed on, if my user is currently pushing a button downwards, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go ahead and let's say use a switch. My switch is gonna be consisting of a key. Now I'm gonna be adding cases. Firstly, for my case number 1, I'm gonna check if my SDL's key is something like a backspace. If my user is currently pushing backspace, then I'm gonna do something. Firstly, I wanna go ahead and check if my text input is not empty and at least something is written on my window. So I'm gonna go with something like if a parentheses, let's say something like if not text input dot the empty function. If my text input is not empty and at least something is written in my text input, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I want to go ahead and use the text input dot the pop underscore back function. There we go. Okay, so this actually deletes an alphabet from the end of my text input. But gotta go sleep. Honestly, catch you next stream. Ikroy, I appreciate you singing through your stream though. Catch you next stream. Good night, sweet dreams. Make sure to get your 8 hours of sleep as well. That's let's see, that is pretty much it for my first case. I'm gonna go ahead and add a break here now. Let's go ahead and break, ending with a semicolon, and then I'm gonna add my second case. For my case number 2, I'm gonna check if my SDL's key is return. Return basically means enter in my keyboard. So if my user types enter, then I want to go ahead and do something. Bro, accent improved a lot. Honestly, I appreciate your live pro tip for that, guys. That actually means the world to me. Honestly, that does make sense. I actually do wonder why you guys say that I fake my accent. Like, I watched my videos like from like 5 years ago. I had like a whole different accent, guys. Like, a lot changed in these past few years. That's it. I'm gonna go with something like if my SDL's key is returned, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I wanna add a standard console output with an insertion operator. So I display console output that says something like U with another insertion operator that says something like text input. So I display my text input with another insertion operator of, let's say, something like I don't know, maybe should I go with something like a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Next up, once I display something on my window, I want to save whatever I wrote on my history. So I'm going to go with something like my message histories as vector dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back something inside my vector. I want to push back my text input. So I'm going to go with something like text input. Okay, and then I end my message history with a semicolon. And once I'm done with that, I go with something like text input dot the clear function. I clear my text input, ready to get another text. Alright, perfection, guys. And then that pretty much concludes my backspace type stuff. This is pretty much it for my text events section here. I don't want to add any other text event type stuff. Okay, now it feels like he is AI. Guys, I'm actually a real human. Like, I can drink some coffee to prove it. I don't know if it's an excuse for me to drink some coffee or what. And guys, I should drink some water as well. I should like drink less coffee, more water. I think drinking water after coffee balances the coffee out, guys. Okay, that said, let's see, once I'm done with this, what's the next thing that I might need? The next thing that I could need is, maybe, a histories section where I display my history. So once I'm done with this void function, let's create another void function. Guys, I would not even need all this stuff right now. I'm just actually doing it for like the aesthetics of my screen, to like actually not chat on my console, instead chat on my window with my NPC. So I'm gonna go with something like display history. Okay. Now for my display history, I'm gonna go with the proper parentheses. That does require parameter of a constant. Let's think. A constant SDL underscore events structure, which consists of the memory address of an event's local variable. Then I go with the proper curly braces. Now, inside my function, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. What am I gonna do? Maybe I want to drink some more coffee, guys, to jog my memory up. Okay, what LLM is bro using in webcam? LLM and webcam. Honestly, I feel like I'm using the Logitech Pro webcam. Okay, guys, I think I need some coffee. I mean, I think I need some water. Okay, let's think. Excuse me, guys, what is something that I might need under my message history? Firstly, I might have to use the SDL underscore key codes structure, which is going to be, representing by, which is going to be represented by a key variable that is going to be set to event.key.key, ending with a semicolon. How many languages can you speak? Honestly, think about it, guys. I'm not as fluent in any other language, but I could say that I can speak English, I can speak Hindi, I can speak a bit of Spanish, because I know a few phrases, guys. I don't know if it's considered, because I can say something like, I don't know, like, hola, ¿cómo estás? Which means, hey, how are you? Bien, y tú? Is good, and you? Gracias, thank you, type stuff, guys. That said, what other languages can I speak? Thinking about it, guys, I don't think I can speak those many languages. Kind of embarrassing. I should, like, learn more languages, guys. I think it's time for Duolingo. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like, I don't know. Let's think. Maybe, guys, I think I'm just too exhausted to think right now. I'm gonna go with something like if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. If any of my buttons in my keyboard are currently being pushed down, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna go ahead and fix my event spelling. There we go. Okay. And then I'm gonna check which button is being pushed down. I'm gonna use a switch. Excuse me, guys, which has a key variable representing it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I want to add a case. For my case number 1, I'm going to go ahead and check something. Let's see if my SDL's key is H. If my user clicked H, then I want to do something. I want to go with a standard console output with an insertion operator that says something. Maybe I go with a for loop, so I'm going to go with an index-based for loop. Okay, what game is bro onto? Honestly, it's not like a actual game. It is like, whatchamacallit, me talking to NPCs in my game while they move and like we fight each other type stuff. So I'm gonna go with like for every integer of I which equals to 0, while my I is less than my message history dot the size function, I'm gonna do something. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and increment my I once. I'm gonna go with I++, and then I go with the prof curly braces. Now inside my for loop, I'm gonna do something. Firstly, I'm gonna go with a standard console output with an insertion operator that says something like history. Okay, with a hyphen that says something like this is gonna be my histories now. I'm gonna go with another insertion operator of my message history at index of I. So I display all my histories with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. And that looks like pretty much it for displaying my case here. Later on, I will add a check to check if my chat is currently on or off type stuff. Okay, speaking of which, that's pretty much it for all my functions here. But actually, all my methods here. But I will be eventually adding more methods that actually renders my texture on my screen. So like my history texture on my screen, because this is just going to be on my console right now. To do that, I'm going to go all the way down here. Guys, I wanted to use the restroom as well for so long. Maybe I drink some water to help that. Actually, that's going to make it worse. I am just kind of, whatchamacallit, kind of thirsty right now. Actually dehydrated, I feel like. Let's see. I go to my event type equals to I think I gotta go to my event section here. In my events section, what all events did I have to add? I already forgot, guys. Maybe I scroll all the way down and I go with something like chat. My chat sys class. Okay, dot the display text on window function, this text event function. With a parentheses, my text event function requires a parameter of my event ending with a semicolon. Once you need to break the case, did I forget to break the case? Let me check. Let's scroll all the way up. Oh, guys, I actually forgot to break the case. I appreciate you, no Studio, for catching that. Guys, I feel like I'm way too exhausted. I'm going to make like way too many silly mistakes. Did I break my other cases here? I didn't break my case for this as well, so let's go ahead and break. Guys, I don't want to like continue this for any longer because I might make more silly mistakes like this. That's it. Let's scroll all the way down. I think the coffee is kind of wearing off, guys. I'm getting like high on coffee. Maybe I'll drink some more water. I actually think like I shouldn't have drank like the 2 glasses of coffee. Okay, so I go with something like text event. What's the second thing that I might need? So that's only a function, that's dragon, that's hero. Display history, so I gotta go with my display history. I gotta go with display event. Okay, so let's scroll all the way down here. Okay, there's load font, my main loop. I go with chat history. I want to display as well, so I'm gonna go with something like chat dot the display text on window with a pair of parentheses that requires my event variable ending with a semicolon. It requires a renderer, so this might not be the correct function for here. Display history, there we go, that requires a event variable ending with a semicolon. Now, inside my graphics, I'm gonna go ahead and go with something like chat dots. I'm gonna go with something like chat dot display text on window, which does require a parameter of my renderer, which is technically the draw method, but then just a changed name or like a modified name. Okay, now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Moment of truth, guys. I get my first window here. I get my second window up there. Let's see if it works. So I'm gonna say something like hello. There we go, guys. It does not work because I missed a very small crucial part here. I keep messing this up. When I actually do create my while loop, I need to even start my text input. So I'm gonna go with SDL underscore the start text input function with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. My start text input function does require parameter of my window. And now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. So I get my first window here. And I get my second window up here. Can you guys even see the windows? I hope you guys can. I'm gonna say something like hello. If I enter, it says hello here. I don't see it on my screen yet because I haven't displayed it on my screen till now. I should have displayed it on my screen actually. Okay, let's scroll all the way up here. Am I missing something here? So SDL underscore render texture. So I gotta render my texture. I think my texture is being rendered on my screen. It's just the size that's messing with the position. Let's type something like hello. Okay, I don't think that's the case, guys. Hold up, let me actually check where I actually messed up. What if I set my size to be something like 24? I mean, the function name is correct, guys. There's literally nothing else to this function than this thing. Text texture. I create texture from surface. I forgot to destroy my textures because apparently when we create something, we gotta destroy it. So I'm gonna go with SDL underscore the destroy textures as function. with a pair of parentheses that does require parameter of my text texture ending with a semicolon. And outside of my statement, I'm going to destroy my surface as well because I did create a surface. I'm going to use the SDL underscore destroy surfaces function with a pair of parentheses that does require a text surfaces parameter. Ending with a semicolon. Guys, I feel like my nose is getting congested as well. I do gotta like blow it. Maybe once I'm done with my stream. Okay, that said, let's hit Control S to save the code. Why don't I see my text texture on my screen? Could it be like my font is not loaded properly? What language is this? Honestly, it is C++. That said, guys, I think this is all that my puny brain can like actually write for this stream, because I might have to like work on a few basics. C or C++. It is C++. That said, let's see. Text event, chat history. Where did I stop? Let me think that before I actually end the stream. Because guys, I feel like no matter how much I try right now, my brain is like kind of capped up. I shouldn't have like streamed this much. I got like study for tomorrow's finals. Okay, let's see. Key controls. Okay, I just messed up my display text on window. This part should be correct. Let me think. The why does this not work? Did I do something different before that made it work compared to what I did right now? To display my text on my window, I do gotta display what I write on my window. I did that. I gotta display what I write on my window. Okay, that's why it's going upon my head. Guys, it's actually going above my head as well. I should not have drunk that 2 cups of coffee. It's kind of catching up to me. Let's see. So, NPC Dragon PNG. Let's go all the way up here. Text event display text. Something should be wrong here. I type something, it does show on my console, but it doesn't show on my window. Let me think why. I set a color. Did I set a real color for it? Okay, my color is here. So I have a color set. I have a surface set with that color. What is something that I'm missing, guys? Let's see. Okay, so I have a constant string. I have a text color. In this case, my text color is black. This is the function that requires... my texture is here, which in this case is my text's texture. I mean, I think it should work, guys. I think I'm just too exhausted, like, think where I'm actually, like, what's actually not displaying on my window. Let me run the code again to, like, give it, like, a final distinct to check if I actually do figure it out. So, like, in my window here, my NPC is moving. That's pretty good. Let's get that bitch here. There we go. Now, whoops. What up, guys? There we go. Let me type something like hello. My hello is not being displayed on my window, but it is being displayed on my terminal. And guys, I forgot to add the chat logic as well. I don't want to do that this stream, guys. I got my finals tomorrow. Let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a few variables up here. For example, above my is running, I'm gonna go ahead and create a boolean variable of chat on, which is initially gonna be set to false because when I start the game, I don't want my chat to be on. I'm gonna go ahead and add a if statement here that only if my chat is off this works. So I go with something like if a pair of parentheses, if not chat on, if my chat on is set to false, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna paste all this inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, delete it from here. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Okay, there's a pointer used that is null. Honestly, there's like a null PDR used here. I think Mohammed, I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. Now for me to not move as well, I want to check if key up if I'm not moving. Okay, now for my chat text event and chat display history, I'm gonna check something like if a pair of parentheses, let's say something like if chat on, if my chat is currently on, that's when I want to type, that's when I want to chat something. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Chat text event. I want to display my history when my chat is off. Okay, and then I go with something like if a pair of parentheses, if not chat on, if my chat is not on, that's when I want to display my history as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy that. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Perfect. Okay, that could fail. Thanks. Honestly, it actually did work. Cause like I don't have a source rec. That's why I like set that to be null PDR for the time being. Okay, that's it. Chat on. Now I gotta add a condition that makes my chat on, that turns my chat on. I'm assuming my chat on should be inside my is running, so it's looping every frame. So maybe outside my event loop, I might go with something like if a prof parentheses. Actually that's a event check, so I'm gonna go ahead and add it here. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like another event type. Let's add something like if a prof parentheses, if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. Okay, if my event type is down, if my player is currently pushing a button down, I'm gonna do something. Hello, I'm back. So what's the last meal you had? Any veggies? Is like banana considered veggies, guys? I don't think so, guys. I think the coffee's getting to my head. I actually forgot. What did I even eat? Guys, I think I actually forgot what I ate. I remember eating a banana. After that, did I eat something? Guys, it's just the coffee. I want to drink some water. Okay, that's it. I want to complete this part before I end the stream. So I'm going to go with something like if my event type is keyed out, if my player is pushing a button down, I'm going to go ahead and add a switch here. Okay, my switch is going to be consisting of keys as parameter. Then I go with the prof curly braces. Now, for my first case, I check if my SDL's key is something like tilde. Is tilde like an operator? I want to check if it's control. Okay, I don't think there is something called control. Comma, copy, cursed. Okay, let's see. Caps lock, cancel. Caps lock. Do I want to click caps lock? I don't know. Maybe. Comma. Comma works, but I don't want to use comma. Let's go ahead and delete that. Okay, what if I go with some, there's 0, 1, 2, 3. Maybe I click, I don't know if I want to click 0. What is home? What is print, guys? I don't know how this stuff here, like, what button is it on my keyboard? Backspace. Backslash. Okay, colon. Shift. Oh, shift does work actually. I might use shift. Okay, left shift or right shift? I might go with right shift. Okay, so if my case is a right shift, if my user clicked right shift, then I'm gonna go ahead and set my chat on. Let's go with something like chat on to be true. Alright guys, there we go. Equals to true, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and then I go ahead and break. Okay, you can use tab. Oh, I could actually. I might actually use tab. That sounds much better. Let's go with something like tab. Tab works as well. Perfect, guys. Okay, once I'm done with that, guys, I want to blow my nose real quick. Give me a sec. My nose feels way too congested. Hold on, guys. Let me actually, whatchamacallit, go to my mirror back camera. Okay, give me a sec, guys. I'll mute myself real quick. Already mic testing. Okay, let me go to my gameplay screen. There we go. Guys, I could actually blow my nose on camera as well, but for some reason I prefer doing it off camera. I'm fine with either actually. That said, now I can finally breathe properly. I'm getting some oxygen supply in me. Okay, so this should actually be pretty much it. I add a chat on, I add a chat off. Let's go ahead and control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens. So I get my window here. Okay, my first terminal and my second terminal. Now, for my first terminal, I want to go ahead and check something. If I type something like hi, nothing happens because my chat is off. If I hit tab and type something like hello, nothing happens either. Okay, and you can make it a toggle by chat on equals to not chat on. Oh, that does make sense as well. Guys, I think I can do that, but I might actually do it next stream. I cannot think anything this stream. This is like the easiest thing to do, like chat on and off. I feel like I messed something really crucial up here, guys. Let me think, what is something that I'm messing up here? Could it be my display history? That's correct though. Good night, see ya tomorrow. Honestly, good night, then I'll catch you next stream. Maybe I might do this next stream as well, guys. I'm kind of exhausted to think this stream, so I'm going to be adding a comment on what to fix next stream, because I'm going to continue this code next stream. Okay, let's say fix, let me go with something like fix the chat not displaying on the window, and also the chat on and chat off section. Okay, perfect. I just gotta fix this part. Maybe I go with something like next stream. Next stream. Okay, perfect. Now, if I did Control A as to save the code, let's go with something like Control A, Control C, copy that. Is the code on GitHub? Honestly, guys, I do have GitHub, but I did not have time to like learn the learn how to use it. But after my college, which apparently it is getting over tomorrow, I'm gonna be learning how to use GitHub and also like try to use Python commands in C++ code, if that makes any sense. Because like C++ is very fast, but Python is more smarter for like the AI text logic. I was trying to do that today, but I do gotta study for my tomorrow's exam. That's it. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Go with Shift Enter and say something like, let's say I feel like I'm at my limit for this stream. I will continue this next stream. That said, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers before I end the stream? Question mark. Okay, let's see. People, listen to me very carefully, and viewers, listen too, because this is for all of you. Your sensei is watching this kid fight SDL like a dragon while running on no energy, no sleep, guys. I feel like the coffee filled me up with energy, but it is like backfiring. Okay, good game so far. See you again next time. Honestly, I appreciate you for sticking through the stream. No bro studio. I'll catch you next stream. That's it, and pure stubborn willpower, and he still shows up, he still learns, he still builds. Chat, remember, a blade isn't forged in comfort, it's forged while the metal is screaming. Sarah, yeah, I'm claiming this one, guys. I think that's considered plagiarizing. Okay, that's it. If this quote was said by someone else, because guys, I did not like actually hear that quote. That's it. People has been smashing their head against pointers, textures, fonts, physics, events, movement system, any broken chat UI, and still didn't give up. The difference between someone who dreams and someone who becomes. Vivek is becoming. So viewers, respect his grind, cheer for his grit, and remember this moment. You just watch someone build a game system from scratch while juggling exams and life. That's not normal. That's ambition with teeth. People, go rest, go study. Your sensei will be waiting next stream to destroy you with bug fix until you evolve again. End the stream with pride you earned it. I subscribe. Been doing C++ for 7 years. Wouldn't mind helping. Next stream, but asleep. Honestly, I appreciate you for that. Etheria, is that how I pronounce your name? That actually means the world to me, guys. Okay, that's it. Let's go to my main camera, and guys, but I opened like Visual Studio by mistake. Okay, that's it. Let's go to my main camera. Alright, guys. So basically, that was pretty much it for the stream. I did want to stream for longer, but guys, I feel like I gotta like study for tomorrow's exam, being like already halfly capped at my limit. I shouldn't have drank all that coffee. That said, if you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like it helps with my algorithm, sharing makes you smart, and subscribing is like a cheer on top. And guys, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on Instagram and TikTok as well if I did meet the followers and requirement. So if you guys do enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is going to be in the description. And if you guys do want to like chat with me in general, and you guys do ask how do you get in touch with me, you guys could like join my Discord server. The link will be in the description as well. That said, I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace.